The story kicks off with a massive golden beam of light piercing the sky and striking Kinjiang City's first academy dead on. Faced with this crazy energy surge, the crowd goes totally wild over the phenomenon triggered by the awakening of Su Xiaoqing, the school's top prodigy. At the epicenter of it all, Su Xiaoqing stays locked in while her destiny is being decided. All around her, the students start debating whether she'll roll a high-tier class or an even more broken power. Watching the scene unfold, the principal gets hyped about his impending stroke of luck and tells everyone to watch the light take the shape of a weapon. Right then, an epic golden saber appears hovering over the glowing mystical array. Next thing you know, a mysterious hand grabs the hilt of the divine weapon. At that moment, a massive angelic being descends from the sky, gripping the huge sword right in front of the crowd. Mind blown by the whole scene, the principal realizes it's a legendary class packed with max tier light stats. So, he announces to the crowd that Su Xiaoqing unlocked the epic 6 Winged Angel class, wielding the holy light sword. In total silence, the majestic celestial silhouette hovers right behind the girl on the summoning platform. At this point, the students burst into cheers, totally hyping up the school beauty's new power. Watching from a distance, Wei Dao acknowledges the girl's skills and admits that pulling an epic class is actually pretty awesome. 3 centuries ago, spatial rifts popped up out of nowhere on the planet, kicking off a massive disaster tied to the secret realms. Super-powered mutated creatures started invading Earth through these portals, wrecking society left and right. As time went on, humanity was gifted the ability to unlock classes and started grinding their skills by exploring these rifts. Thanks to that, humans finally figured out how to go toe-to-toe with the mutated beasts on an even playing field. Fearless fighters stepped up to clash with the most dangerous monsters to keep the world safe. Nowadays, classes are split into 5 tiers, going all the way from the bottom tier up to the epic level. But there are always rumors floating around about secret, hidden classes that go way beyond the epic tier. Since he got a zakat into this game, like Universe, Wei Dao grinded his studies hard so he could dominate the theory and ace the awakening ceremony. Meanwhile, the principal congratulates Su Xiaoqing for being the very first to snag an epic class in the region this year. Playing it humble, the girl thanks the principal and promises she's gonna keep grinding non-stop. As she steps off the stage, she makes a beeline straight for Wei Dao. Deep down, Su Xiaoqing is low, bragging that she finally has the chance to flex on the rival who always beat her in academics. Nearby, her classmates gas her up, saying she's definitely going to completely own Wei Dao now. Right after that, the principal calls up the next candidate, Wei Dao, to step onto the platform. Hearing his name, the students start whispering that being a bookworm doesn't guarantee a good class and that he'll never top Su Xiaoqing. Full of hope, the principal thinks to himself that if this kid pulls another epic tier, the school is going to go viral. Without missing a beat, Wei Dao takes confident steps toward his future. Giving the green light, the supervisor signals for the awakening process to begin. Channeling his inner focus, Wei Dao interacts with the interface and triggers his own transformation. Instantly, a massive pillar of light erupts from the ground and shoots straight into the sky. But the golden beam quickly shifts into a purple vortex, filled with crackling lightning. Looking up, the students freak out as the sky suddenly goes dark and a freezing chill takes over the whole place. Totally spooked, they point at the clouds as they watch a terrifying, giant bone creature materialize in the air. High above, an entire squad of floating skeletons starts taking shape inside the purple storm. Jaw on the floor, the principal admits he's never seen such a weird awakening and wonders what kind of class is actually spawning. Even though she knows they're just illusions, Su Xiaoqing feels a creepy chill run right down her spine. Surrounded by dark energy, Wei Dao is absolutely loving the power rush flowing through his veins. The vortex spins even faster as the MC hopes for a legendary drop. During the process, the purple energy quickly gathers right in his hands. Then, a flash of dark light cuts through the summoning area to reveal his ultimate reward. Out of nowhere, a dark-colored shovel appears, floating and spinning in mid-air. Gripping the long-handled tool, Wei Dao is totally confused, realizing his starting gear is literally just a shovel. Looking awkward, the principal announces that Wei Dao unlocked the hidden undead summoner class, rocking a shovel as his starter item. Hearing that bizarre announcement, the entire student body goes dead silent for a few seconds. Then, everyone just loses it, laughing their heads off, roasting his construction tool, and saying they're going to meme him all over the internet. Watching the guy's situation, Su Xiaoqing flashes a relieved smile, realizing she's keeping her spot as the school's #1. Standing alone on the platform, Wei Dao wonders if the game glitched out during all that crazy storm just to hand him a shovel. Ready to figure this out, he opens his menu to check his stats and his summoning skill. That's when the MC realizes he's got an SSS tier hidden talent called Eternal Immortality, which lets him hoard minions without a single limit. Hyped about the find, Wei Dao sees that he can completely ignore the own summon at a time, rule and build an actual army. Curious, he looks at the tool again, thinking it's got to have some broken hidden feature too. Checking out the locked specs, he finds out that burying defeated enemies gives him some crazy top-tier bonus buffs. Chuckling at the setup, the MC realizes he can farm X-Spin buffs at the same time just by playing Gravedigger with his shovel. Annoyed by the delay, the principal asks Wei Dao to flex his power right now to see if he's actually useful. Playing along, the MC raises his arm and pops his first necromancy summoning skill. A tiny purple magic circle lights up on the floor right in front of him. To everyone's shock, just one single, skinny white skeleton slowly crawls out of the portal. Disappointed, the principal notes that the summoned dude is just a basic skeleton mage, literally the lowest tier of the undead. Curious about how weak this hidden class is, he decides to give the skeleton a little tap to test its durability. One light poke was all it took for the bunny creature to completely crumble into pieces on the floor. Seeing that, the students start roasting the MC again because his summon got wiped out by a basic nudge. Totally unfazed by the haters, Wei Dao just smiles confidently, knowing his actual potential. Playing it cool, the MC explains to the principal that one solo skeleton is definitely weak, but the game is about to change. Then, Wei Dao hits a quick finger snap to trigger his special talent. Immediately, a bunch of purple magic circles start popping up all over the school courtyard. Totally shook, the principal jumps back as he watches countless bone creatures rise from the ground all around him. As the monsters keep spawning, the MC brags that he can summon as many fighters as he wants all at once, with hundreds of pawns under his command. Wei Dao asks the principal how he'd handle an army this size. At that moment, the massive undead squad just stands there, chilling and waiting for their boss's orders. Freaking out at the sea of bones, the students start panicking, wondering how on earth he summoned that many. Analyzing it seriously, Xu Xiaoqing figures out that the real strength of Wei Dao's class is just pure, overwhelming numbers. Jaw dropped at the flex, the principal admits that this insane mob of minions has to be the hidden class's real trump card. Despite the joke of a starter weapon, the principal declares that Wei Dao's future is looking seriously bright. The guy then asks him to despawn the minions so they can finish up the ceremony, and the MC agrees. While sending his squad away, Wei Dao thinks to himself that everyone here thinks he can only summon basic grunts. But he remembers the mythic bone dragon he saw in the storm, knowing it's only a matter of time before that beast is his, too. An hour later, the school courtyard starts emptying out as all the formalities slowly wrap up. Wrapping up the event, the principal congratulates all the students who managed to awaken their new classes. He then drops a reminder that tomorrow at 9 o'clock, everyone needs to show up at the beginner's dungeon to farm rewards and points. Hearing about the loot, Wei Dao gets super hyped for the chance to level up and score some serious drops in the challenge. With the event officially over, the students start heading out through the massive academy grounds. Meanwhile, the guy Xianjia walks up to Xu Xiaoqing and asks to team up, flexing his swordsman class. Looking completely unimpressed, the girl turns him down flat and harshly tells him to get out of her way. Ignoring the simp, she runs straight toward the MC, calling out for Wei Dao. Hearing his name, the MC turns around to see what she wants. Xu Xiaoqing challenges him to a rematch in the dungeon to settle who is actually the number one in the school. Totally confident, Wei Dao accepts the challenge, but warns her that she's probably not going to beat him. Furious at the cocky response, Xu Xiaoqing snaps back that he's just talking big. Right then, Qianzhao grips his glowing blade, absolutely raging at the MC's disrespect. He threatens to break Wei Dao's legs so he can't even step foot in the dungeon tomorrow. But Xu Xiaoqing cuts him off, saying she doesn't need any help and that she'll beat him fair and square. So the swordsman decides to let the MC off the hook just for her sake, but drops a heavy warning for him to stay out of his lane. Otherwise, the MC better get ready to spend a whole month in a cast if they cross paths again. Brushing off the trash talk, Wei Dao just replies that he's really looking forward to the showdown. The next morning, military transport convoys pull up to the drop zone for the students' big exam. Stepping into the main hub, the students are met with a ton of hype and activity, getting ready for the test to start. On top of that, some kids are excitedly talking about the 3 secret realms available for the trial. Meanwhile, others point out that noobs are only allowed in the barren prairie, which is the easiest level of them all. Walking with purpose through the crowd, Xu Xiaoqing pushes forward, ignoring all the chatter. Spotting his rival, Wei Dao asks if she's planning to go solo or squad up, and she confirms she's running solo. She then dares him to do the same so he can't make excuses later about getting hard carried. Suddenly, a booming voice echoes through the massive hall, grabbing everyone's attention instantly. Standing on the podium with a mic, the principal explains that the test lasts 8 hours, and hitting level 3 guarantees bonus points. Listening closely to the rules, the students get ready to go try hard mode for this exam. He adds that taking out elite monsters gives even more bonus loot, right before giving the official go ahead to start. Instantly, the massive portal to the barren prairie starts glowing with pure energy. Because of that, the the mob of students heavily rushes the portal, trying to secure the first spawns. Watching the stampede from afar, Wei Dao thinks his classmates' try-hard behavior is pretty funny. Still, he decides to jump into the rift right after them to show at least a little bit of effort. As soon as he steps through the portal, the MC touches down on the green grass of the prairie. Seeing how massive and empty the field is, Wei Dao realizes everyone got spawned at completely random coordinates. Suddenly, a sketchy rustling sound in the grass catches his attention. To his surprise, a tiny prairie marmot pops out. Literally the lowest tier mob in the whole zone. But the cute-looking animal lets out a crazy loud and aggressive squeak. Annoyed by the high-pitched noise, the MC covers his ears, wondering why it's so mad. Suddenly, the wild mob launches itself at insane speed right at the guy. With zero time to dodge, Wei Dao takes a direct headbutt from the tiny, angry monster. With the thing latched onto his face, the MC tries to rip it off as fast as he can. Getting hit out of nowhere, the MC realizes he really can't sleep on any threat in this place. So, he grabs the aggressive furball with his bare hands to yeet it away for good. Managing to pry it off, Wei Dao complains about the mob having the nerve to sneak attack him. Then, he lines up a perfect kick and punts the thing across the field. The monster goes tumbling through the grass, squealing from the impact. Dusting off his gear, the MC admits he almost took some serious damage just from zoning out. Annoyed, he snaps his fingers and warns the critter that it's about to pay for that mistake. The MC then activates his summoning skill, popping magic circles all over the ground. In seconds, dozens of skeleton mages rise from the shadows, wrapped in a purple mist. With 30 minions on standby, Wei Dao sets up his Necromancer squad for battle. Pointing straight at the marmot, the MC orders his crew to go on the offensive. Instantly, a barrage of fireballs is blasted right at the cornered animal. A massive explosion completely wipes the area where the little mob was trying to run. In the end, the creature is totally eliminated, leaving nothing but its remains on the scorched grass. A floating system notification pops up congratulating Wei Dao for taking out a level 1 mob, handing him 10x points. Even with the win, the MC complains that grinding 10 points at a time is going to make leveling up way too slow. But then he remembers he's got an entire army on standby, so he tells his minions to get to work. He switches them to free fire mode and orders them to wipe out any mob that crosses their path. Meanwhile, in a VIP room, fresh tea is being poured for the examiners. The principal from a rival school sarcastically asks Wang if he seriously believes the First Academy is going to take the win. Looking totally confident, Principal Wang says yes, without even hesitating. The other guy claps back, bragging that his school produced a student with a top-tier epic class. Hearing that, a third principal chimes in, reminding everyone that Wang's school also has an epic class and a hidden variant on their roster. Shocked by the huge plot twist, the rival principal literally does a spit take with his tea. Totally stunned, he asks if that info is actually legit. Principal Wang happily confirms it and says he's super excited to watch his students farm elite targets. Back in the open field, massive explosions are ripping the zone apart, while the marmots try to run for their lives in total panic. With absolutely zero cover, the mobs are getting sniped left and right by fire projectiles. The explosions spread like crazy across the map, wiping the creatures out in record time. Laughing out loud, Wei Dao chills on the green grass and talks about how awesome combat in this universe is. Above him, a bunch of exp notifications just keep popping up on auto while he relaxes without spending a single drop of energy. The MC celebrates how broken his hidden class is and prays for an even bigger exp drop to speedrun his leveling. Still, Wei Dao decides to get up, charging his shovel with purple energy to see how his digging tool actually works in the field. Walking across the prairie, the MC decides to bury the defeated marmot to see what kind of crazy secrets it unlocks. So, he starts digging a hole with his shovel, tracking his steps super casually. After gently placing the tiny animal into the grave, the MC covers it back up with dirt. Wiping the sweat off his forehead from the manual labor, the guy looks at the little dirt mound he just made. Hoping for some good RNG, Wei Dao steps up to see if he's getting any bonus loot from playing Undertaker. Right away, a system screen pops up saying he scored a basic bracelet, some grave incense, and corpse oil. Checking the stats, the MC realizes these 3 weird rewards actually give solid stat buffs and X points. Intrigued by the creepy loot, the guy wonders where these dark items even came from, since they definitely don't look normal. Ready to test the mysterious incense, he lights it up to see what kind of buffs he gets on the prairie. Mind blown, Wei Dao watches dozens of bonus X notifications start spamming around him non-stop. Wrapped in a flashy golden level up glow, the MC celebrates finally hitting level 2. A floating system notification pops up confirming that the MC has officially leveled up to 2. Super happy with how fast that was, Wei Dao celebrates how easy it is to grind in this zone. Next, he decides to pull out the creepy corpse oil to see how it works in practice. Pouring the dark liquid on his arm, a notification confirms he instantly got an across the board stat buff. Hyped about his awesome start, The guy decides to use even more of the stuff to boost his power. A bunch of alerts start spamming his interface as he rubs the oil on his arms and face. Feeling the concentrated power, the MC is amazed as his body gets a massive energy rush. Opening his stat menu, Wei Dao sees that his new stats are insanely high for his current level. With his shovel resting on his shoulder, the MC decides to walk around a bit more to find new loot to bury in the grass. Suddenly, a red system alert warns the MC that his squad of skeleton mages is taking casualties. Worried about losing his precious summons so fast, the guy spins around trying to figure out what's going on. An angry, massive wild boar comes charging in, absolutely wrecking his bone warriors with zero chill. An info window pops up showing that the new enemy is an elite horned boar, sitting at power level 3. Looking at the huge beast, Wei Dao understands exactly why his squishy mages didn't stand a chance. The elite mob lets out an insanely loud and aggressive roar, getting ready to charge. The horned boar kicks off a crazy fast dash straight at the MC, kicking up a huge cloud of dust. Realizing he drew aggro, Wei Dao notices the massive boss is coming right for him. Sprinting across the grass, the guy yells at the elite mob to stay away from him. But the wild beast just keeps charging like a tank, roaring furiously across the prairie. Picking up the pace, the MC tries to get as much distance as he can from the incoming danger. So he throws his hands up fast and commands his pawns to form a front line to tank the hit. Immediately, the monster slams full speed into the makeshift wall of skeletons. An insane crash sends dust and shattered bones flying everywhere. Panting after the jump scare, the MC is just thankful he had enough bone shields to avoid getting one-shotted. Standing his ground, Wei Dao triggers his purple summoning energy again to take back control of the field. Scanning the enemy up close, he plans to box it in, knowing the mob has terrible turning speed. The boar lets out a loud grunt when it realizes it's completely surrounded by skeleton mages. Seeing that, the MC celebrates that the beast can only attack in one direction now. Following his orders, the skeleton squad drops a devastating barrage of fireballs right on the creature. When the smoke clears, the massive elite boar is completely wiped out, lying flat on the grass. A flashy beam of light hits the MC, confirming he just leveled up to tier 3. Right after, a golden chest hovers in front of him, showing that the boar dropped some leather armor. Hyped about the random luck, Wei Dao celebrates the awesome gear drop he just got handed. After equipping the shiny new armor, his strength and vitality stats get a massive boost. Gripping his iron shovel again, the guy charges up his purple energy, getting ready to dig another grave. He walks over to the elite mob's remains, ready to bury it and grab those sweet bonus buffs. The second he finishes the burial, 2 glowing yellow orbs slowly float up from the ground. At first, the MC thinks the loot looks kinda trash for an elite mob and complains about the game being stingy. To his surprise, the lights suddenly turn into 2 floating spellbooks. The menu shows the unlocked spells Spirit Fire and a Skeleton Boar Summon. Totally thrilled by the insane drop, the guy changes his tune immediately and praises the system for being so generous. Holding the manuals, Wei Dao does the math and gets hyped, realizing the low mana cost means he can summon more than 10 boars. The books glow with purple energy as he quickly absorbs the new combat skills. A system prompt successfully confirms that the MC learned the Spirit Fire and Boar skills. Focusing his mana, the guy pops a massive magic circle and starts his new secret summon. Letting out a terrifying, high-pitched roar, a giant skeleton boar spawns, covered in purple flames. The panel shows off the elite mob's crazy good stats, highlighting its heavy charge attack. Happy with the new minion, Wei Dao celebrates knowing his clear speed is about to skyrocket. Suddenly, a massive golden energy slash cuts through the distance, scaring a bunch of birds out of the trees. Intrigued by that crazy destructive power, the MC stares in that direction to see who's over there. In the clearing, the arrogant Qian Jiao is ordering a group of students to back off, while they fight over an elite turtle. Super annoyed, one of the guys in the group complains that they found the mob first and calls him out for stealing. Looking completely smug, the blonde swordsman coldly claims he has the right to take it just because he's way stronger. Watching from stealth, Wei Dao recognizes the guy and notices he bought some pay to win gear to deal that much damage. Out of patience for talking, Qian Jiao swings his glowing golden sword and tells everyone to get out of his way. Taking the massive hit, the students scream in pain as they get blasted away with zero defense. Scared by the swordsman's aggressive push, the giant turtle tries to slowly back away to dodge the attack, but Qian Jiao dashes forward, swinging his massive blade to drop an energy slash on the beast. Suddenly, a bunch of Wei Dao skeleton summons pop out of the shadows to block the swordsman's attack. A massive explosion goes off from the clash of energies, throwing a ton of dust and smoke into the air. Qian Jiao is totally stunned seeing his attack get cancelled and wonders what the heck is going on. A system notification pops up confirming that Wei Dao took down the elite turtle and leveled up to 4. Absolutely furious, Qian Jiao yells at the MC, accusing him of stealing his elite mob. The MC tries to cool things down, saying it was just an accident caused by his summons. The swordsman rejects the excuse and decides this is the perfect time to settle their beef. He launches a heavy sword strike straight at Wei Dao, aiming for a direct hit. But the MC reacts super fast, throwing his arm up and popping a magic barrier to tank it. A line of skeleton mages quickly spawns in front of him to soften the blow. However, the swordsman's attack is completely overpowered and shreds the bone minions in a split second. Shocked by the insane damage, Wei Dao realizes the danger is way closer than he thought. He admits to himself that using the summons as a meat shield was the only thing that saved him from a game over. From a distance, the other students nervously whisper that the MC is in serious trouble fighting someone that strong. At that moment, the MC gives off a dark aura and warns his rival not to blame him for what happens next. He then triggers multiple purple magic circles, ordering his new summons to go on the offensive. The skeleton boars burst out of the portals, setting up a brutal charge against the enemy. Ignoring the incoming charge, Qianzhao pushes forward with his sword, trash-talking that the mobs are just garbage. He lands a clean hit right on the first skeleton boar's head using his holy weapon. Completely baffled by the monster's tankiness, the swordsman steps back, confused as to why his strike didn't one-shot it. The bone beast lets out a terrifying roar, showing that the attack barely even scratched it. Then, the boar delivers a heavy tackle that launches the swordsman backward and sends his weapon flying. With no way to block, the guy goes tumbling into the grass, trying to recover from the brutal hit. But the danger isn't over, as 3 more skeleton boars launch another vicious charge right at him. Lying on the ground, Qianzhao lets out a panicked groan, realizing he has no escape from this attack. One of the beasts smashes right into the swordsman's face, cutting his cry for help short. Taking the final hit, he gets knocked out cold in the middle of the battlefield, after a totally humiliating defeat. Watching the whole thing from afar, the other students are absolutely terrified by how broken that summon is. The MC then asks the kids to help drag the injured rival out of there before things get any worse. Shaking in their boots, the students quickly agree to help, while Wei Dao says thanks super casually. The group hurries to drag the unconscious swordsman away, leaving the MC all alone in the zone. Scanning the area, Wei Dao realizes he's finally by himself and decides it's time to bury the monster. Standing over the massive, lifeless elite turtle, the MC wonders what kind of crazy loot he's going to pull. Suddenly, a giant shadow appears in the sky, catching the guy's attention as he looks up, confused. A massive, sticky blue creature drops straight onto the field, forcing the MC to jump back fast. The interface reveals that the entity is a heavy, hitting level 5 splitter slime, tagged as a boss. Hyped for the random challenge, Wei Dao gets excited, realizing he got lucky running into a rare spawn. The boss triggers its special skill, raining down corrosive acid blobs right at him. Spotting the toxic hazard, the guy gets ready to counter using his own magic. He charges up and fires his spirit fire spell to cancel out the acid blobs mid-air. But some of the bubbles hit the grass and start melting the ground, giving off toxic green smoke. Worried, the MC looks at the melted dirt and realizes he absolutely cannot touch that acid. But the blue monster doesn't let up and gets ready to drop another lethal attack on the MC. Without hesitating, Wei Dao calls in his squad of skeleton mages and orders an instant full-out attack. The Bone Squad raises their hands and spams dozens of fireballs at the boss. An insane shootout of fire projectiles and acid blobs turns the zone into an absolute fireworks show. Eventually, the slime's acid hits one of the skeleton mages, completely melting it on the spot. Seeing that his mages are way too squishy, the MC decides to switch up his battle strat. He figures the best way to tank the heavy damage is to send in his beefy skeleton boars. The heavy beasts violently crash into the giant slime, squeezing a weird sound out of the monster. Taking the brute force impact, the blue monster gets squished and blows up in a massive, sticky explosion. Hyped about the fast clear, the guy celebrates his boar's perfectly executed combo. But the celebration gets cut short when he hears a sketchy sound coming from the mob's scattered pieces on the ground. To his surprise, the sticky goo starts wiggling and spreading all over the battlefield. The boss splits into dozens of meanie slimes that are already gearing up to spit more acid. The guy remembers from his theory classes that this type of mob always splits after taking heavy damage, but he just smirks confidently, knowing this split mechanic is totally useless against his playstyle. The MC declares that absolutely nobody can outnumber him when it comes to mob fights. The swarm of mini blue monsters fires an absolute wall of corrosive acid right at him. He immediately orders his skeleton boars to form a shield wall in the front. The living meat shields soak up the entire acid attack, keeping the rest of the squad completely safe. At the same time, the mages in the backline get ready to drop a devastating counter-attack. Instantly, a heavy barrage of fireballs is unleashed, blanketing the entire battlefield. With nowhere to dodge, the tiny slimes are completely vaporized by the endless explosions. A flashy beam of light drops down, confirming Wei Dao beat the boss and jumped straight to level 7. Satisfied with the win, the guy gathers up all the loot dropped by the mob, planning to sell it later. In front of him, A bunch of basic weapons and accessories are floating and glowing as his boss reward. He throws everything into a heavy-duty canvas bag, already doing the math on how much cash he's gonna make. Determined to max his remaining time, he gets ready to keep grinding mobs in the secret realm. But a system pop-up warns him that the exam timer is up and starts the auto-teleport sequence. Surprised by how fast the clock ran out in there, the guy complains that he couldn't farm for a few more hours. He gets teleported back, popping out of nowhere inside the massive magic circle in the school hall. All around him, the other students start spawning in, talking about how crazy fast the test went by. Stepping onto the floor, the MC mutters a complaint about the fun ending way too soon. Nearby, some students are breathing a sigh of relief about surviving the danger, and are hyping up Sushioking's run. He admits to himself that her angelic class is seriously broken for solo carrying. Suddenly, a classmate runs up to him, super relieved to have finally found him in the courtyard. The stocky Jungdan runs up, totally hyped, and asks if the MC can guess what level he's at now. Throwing out a high guess, the MC asks if he hit level 5, but his buddy says that would be way too OP, and would probably get him a statue from the principal. Super proud of his grind, Jungdan celebrates hitting level 4, saying it's absolutely huge for his school cred. Praising his bro's hustle, Wei Dao points out that the bonus rewards are guaranteed, while the big guy confidently jokes that he'll carry him from now on. Suddenly, the chill vibe shifts when the elegant Shu Xiaoqing marches through the courtyard, loudly calling out for the MC. Nervous about the drama, Zhangdan warns him that the school beauty is back to start some beef, but promises he'll find a way to defuse it. But before he can even finish talking, a hand aggressively shoves the big guy's shoulder out of the way with zero hesitation. Pushed with some serious force, Zhangdan gets tossed to the side, totally stunned by how rude she was. The chubby dude faceplants right onto the courtyard floor, letting out an audible groan from the surprise wipeout. Seriously annoyed, Wei Dao flares up his dark aura and warns her he won't go easy on her just because she's a girl, especially after she hurt his friend. Looking for a fight, Shu Xiaoqing draws her glowing golden saber, stating she doesn't want any mercy and telling him to come at her with everything he's got. Doing a quick backstep, the MC dodges her first strike and readies his tool as she rushes in full aggro. Standing still in the clearing, the two rivals lock eyes, sizing each other up before starting the actual brawl. Launching a super fast golden light slash, Shu Xiaoqing taunts him, saying his reaction time is way too slow for her. But the MC blocks the glowing slash with his dark shovel and claps back that her attack is actually pretty weak for someone with an epic class. Surprised by his solid block, Shu Xiaoqing casts an Analyze spell and is absolutely shocked to see he tanked a hit packing 80% of her power. The stats reveal that Wei Dao is already sitting at level 7, leaving her completely blown at his insane leveling speed. While winding up another hit, she remembers how she grinded non-stop in the dungeon and only barely hit level 6 after sweating it out. Suddenly, the dark shovel's handle stops her golden blade dead in its tracks, just inches away from hitting him. Keeping it super casual, the MC asks her why she didn't even try to dodge his quick dash. Admitting defeat again, Shu Xiaoqing drops her fighting stance, annoyed, and complains that dodging was pointless since he beat her anyway. But she warns him not to get too cocky about hitting level 7, because they'll settle who's really number 1 at the big unified tournament. Watching her walk away, Wei Dao breathes a sigh of relief and wonders why she always has to be such a try-hard at literally everything. Nearby, the crowd of students starts whispering, totally shocked that the guy hit level 7 in the dungeon in just one day. Meanwhile, Wei Dao smiles a little, thinking about how the rich kid Chuyan ended up giving him an awesome surprise at the end. Right after, Zhangdan pats his bro on the back and complains about getting shoved for no reason because Wei Dao hit his high level. Laughing it off, the MC fires back that it wasn't his fault, since the big guy was the one who tried to play White Knight. Saying bye to his buddy, Wei Dao mentions he needs to take care of some important business off campus and walks away chilling. Carrying a massive green bag stuffed with loot on his back, the guy hits a busy street looking for a specific spot. Standing outside the trading hub, the MC plans to sell all his dungeon drops to score a fat stack of cash. Suddenly, some sketchy dude pops up right behind Wei Dao, asking if he's looking to buy some new gear. At the same time, a fancy white car speeds through the city streets toward the rich district under the sunset. Inside the car, Zhu Xiaoqing's dad notices his daughter looking super tilted and asks why she's so down. Looking really bummed out, she straight up asks her dad if she's just totally useless after everything that happened. Through the rearview mirror, her dad tells her that's nonsense, saying she's easily the smartest and most talented student in her class. But she snaps back, pointing out that despite all the hype, she still got completely outplayed by Wei Dao again today. Seeing his daughter this upset, her dad gets serious and asks if she wants him to send someone to teach the kid a lesson, and fix the problem. Refusing the carry, she promises she'll surpass and beat her rival using only her own power and hard training. Then, Shu Xiaoqing reminds her dad that the MC injured someone from the Chuyan family and begs him to protect the guy when they try to retaliate. Laughing it off, the dad agrees, but secretly decides to send some agents to run a full background check on the mysterious kid. Back at the market, the merchant swears his prices are fair, but the MC tells him he's really just there to sell his drops. So, the guy offers to buy the whole stash directly from him to save time, making Wei Dao suspect he's just trying to flip it for a fat commission. Acting insulted, the vendor swears up and down he has the fairest rates in town and would never scam a new customer. With that, Wei Dao drops the massive green bag on the ground with a loud thud and tells the guy to give him a legit appraisal for every item in there. When he opens the bag, a blinding flash of gold and yellow light shines out, showing off the crazy high rarity of all the weapons he farmed. Shocked to see a rare level 5 slime blade in the mix, the man asks how much the MC wants for all 25 pieces. The merchant throws out a straight offer of 15,000 coins to take the entire lot of gear right then, and there are no games. Holding up 2 fingers, the MC demands at least 20,000 coins, which is what the rare items he grinded are actually worth. Way too eagerly, the merchant shakes his hand to lock in the deal, leaving the guy with the sinking feeling he just got played. Looking at his hands, Wei Dao complains bitterly, feeling like he just accepted a massive lowball for what the gear was actually worth. Right after closing the deal, the scammer asks if he goes to Qingyang's first academy, and the MC just nods, confused why he cares. Then, the guy pulls out a tiny magic storage bag with 10 cubic meters of space and swears it'll be super useful for the exams. Interested in a utility item to carry his stuff, the guy asks straight up what the final price for the storage bag is. The man claims the retail price is 50,000, but offers a student discount to drop it to just 30,000 coins. Not falling for the salesman talk, Wei Dao decides to cut the price exactly in half and only offers 15 grand for the item. To his shock, the merchant instantly accepts the counter offer and warns him that sales are final, no refunds. Right away, an e-transfer notification pops up on his phone, confirming the 15,000 went through. Holding the new bag, the guy is stuck with that annoying feeling that he just got finessed again by the slick street vendor. Walking through the narrow alleys of a lower-income neighborhood, the guy explains he just wants to rent a tiny room for exactly 1 month. Chill about the kid's offer, the old man with long white hair just nods, agreeing to the deal. The white-haired old man complains about having to babysit a newly awakened kid, thinking his family boss is being dramatic for no reason. Meanwhile, Wei Dao is just casually walking down the street when a pretty woman starts following him closely. The young widow, Wu Xinyu, excitedly calls out to him, surprised to see him back in the neighborhood after the exam. The guy asks if something's wrong, but she just says she heard all about his insane run at the class awakening ceremony. Hyped about his success, Wu Xinyu suddenly hugs him, leaving the MC completely flustered by the random physical contact. While holding onto him, she reveals she saved a special gift just for him, making the MC wonder what it could be. Leaning in close to his ear, the woman softly asks him to close his eyes for a sec. Feeling awkward, the guy remembers her husband died years ago and starts overthinking what she's about to do. But she just steps back to show off a tiny wooden box she was hiding. Curious about the mystery item, the guy opens the container to check out the loot inside. The interface pops up, revealing it's a mysterious bone fragment that buffs summons and gives you crazy temporary transformations. Wu Xinyu explains the item belonged to her late summoner husband, and she suspects his death is somehow tied to it. Wei Dao figures out she wants him to investigate what happened and get payback, offering the treasure as a reward. Thinking it over, the MC weighs the risks of getting involved in this dangerous side quest versus the massive payout. Locking in, he gives a look that says he's already made his final choice on whether to take or skip the quest. Weighing the danger, Wei Dao agrees to help Wu Xinyu, knowing that high risks always bring high-tier rewards. He promises Wu Xinyu he'll do everything he can to solve the mystery of the artifact. Grateful, she hugs him again and calls him her savior, even though he's thinking he hasn't actually done anything yet. But Wu Xinyu says just him agreeing to help takes a huge weight off her chest. With that, the guy says goodbye, saying he needs to head to his room, and she waves back. The second he walks into his room, Wei Dao carefully locks the door so he can start his experiments. Sitting down, the guy stares at the bone structure and realizes this mystery artifact is actually packed with power. The MC decides to activate the bone item to test out what it actually does in real time. Focusing his energy, he triggers the undead transformation skill, making an intense purple light explode around him. Suddenly, a blinding purple flash takes over the whole room, completely hiding the guy's silhouette. The guy fully morphs into a skeleton, and the interface warns him that the skill drains 1% of his XP every minute. Hyped about his new form, Wei Dao notices all his stats got a massive buff from the transformation. He remembers the physical buff should have affected every single part of his body. Hoping for some specific upgrades, the MC looks down, checking if certain Grayus got enhanced too. But he gets totally disappointed when he realizes having no flesh down there makes the buff completely useless. Panicking, Wei Dao cancels the skill to go back to normal, because he wants nothing to do with that weird upgrade. A swirl of purple smoke wraps around him as he tries to reverse the summon. Back to normal, the guy calms down, glad to see he has full control over the transformation. Still, he notices the exp drain is way too steep to spam this skill for very long. Suddenly, a weird noise coming from the hallway grabs Wei Dao's attention. Suspicious, the guy asks who's on the other side of the door, waiting for someone to answer. It stays dead silent, but the doorknob slowly starts to turn. The MC walks up to the door, asking why the visitor isn't saying anything. The door slowly creeps open, revealing just a dark shadow in the dimly lit hallway. An old guy with white hair shows up, asking if the kid is actually Wei Dao. Spooked by the creepy entrance, the guy thinks the old man is a ghost and throws a punch, but the old dude shows off insane reflexes, effortlessly catching the kid's punch. Totally chill, the man tells the kid to relax, explaining he's just the new neighbor who moved in. Laughing at the whole thing, the neighbor praises the kid's fast reflexes and drops a comment about his young boss being interested. Right after, the old man says goodbye, claiming he just came to say welcome, leaving Wei Dao totally confused. Alone in his room, Wei Dao tries to figure out what the old man meant with that cryptic message. The next morning, birds are flying across the blue sky, signaling the start of a new day. Out in the school courtyard, hundreds of students are grouping up, hyped to see the final leaderboards. Excited for the reveal, Su Xiaoqing mentions she can't wait to see who took the #1 spot. Spotting her rival, she asks how he managed to hit level 7 so insanely fast. Stunned by his answer, she questions if it's even possible for him to solo a boss mob. Meanwhile, the principal steps up to the podium to officially announce the practical exam rankings. The glowing screen shows Wei Dao taking the W, listing his kills against the slime boss and the elite mobs. Staring at the screen, the girl is totally shocked to see that his story was actually legit. Nearby, the students are gossiping, completely mind blown that an undead necromancer beat all the top prodigies. The principal moves on, announcing Su Xiaoqing took second place after soloing a level 5 sovereign wolf. Salty about the loss, she admits her rival is strong, but warns him their rivalry is far from over. Playing it cool, Wei Dao replies that he'll be ready to face her whenever she wants. Up on the podium, the principal reminds everyone there are only 29 days left until the massive unified state tournament. Determined to grind more, the MC leaves the courtyard while the other students watch him go. Walking fast, Wei Dao plans to hit the dungeon zone to power level as fast as humanly possible. On the quest board, a bunch of high-paying bounties for monster materials are listed. Looking at the screen, the guy sees a lot of profitable quests, but decides to skip the barren prairie entirely. He locks in his next grinding spot, the highly dangerous Orc Lair dungeon. Arriving at the transit hub, the guy walks up to one of the active magic portals. Confident in his strength, he steps into the blue portal pole that matches his current level for grinding. Instantly, the mystical glow covers his entire body, triggering the teleport to the dungeon. Spawning into the new zone, Wei Dao thinks it's weird that this dense forest doesn't look anything like a lair. The peaceful area has tiny forest animals running around, making it feel like just a normal woods. But the MC remembers his lessons about ghouls traveling in packs and decides to keep his guard way up. Suddenly, a bunch of glowing red eyes pop up, hiding in the dark canopy of the nearby trees. A feral ghoul launches itself from branch to branch, lining up a direct attack on the intruder. Surprised by the fast dive bomb, the MC complains about having to deal with another sneak attack. Smoothly dodging the beast, the guy jokes about how these mobs always try to backstab. Raging over the missed attack, the ghoul lets out a loud howl to try and scare the young necromancer. Taking advantage of the opening, one of the skeleton mages lands a clean shot, knocking the monster down. The interface pops up saying the level 1 ghoul was eliminated, dropping 25 XP points. Remembering the survival guides, Wei Dao knows that where there's one mob, there's always a pack nearby. Dozens of starving beasts burst out of the bushes, completely surrounding the small squad. Blocked in by enemies, the guy smirks, realizing his game sense was totally spot on. Without wasting time, he raises his hand and orders his pawns to go all out with AoE blasts. Instantly, a massive storm of burning magic spheres is unleashed on the ghouls trying to push forward. A chain of massive explosions wrecks the zone, farming dozens of bonus X points for the guy. When the fight ends, the lifeless bodies of the defeated mobs drop onto the forest grass under the sunlight. Gripping his iron shovel, the MC is hyped about how easy it is to find fresh bodies right at the start. The guy starts digging graves like a try-hard, claiming he's doing top-tier burial work. About 10 minutes later, A bunch of mystery graves are scattered across the dense forest floor. Suddenly, the system pings him with loot incense, body materials, and a new perception skill. Holding the new spellbook, the guy celebrates his crazy luck of pulling an advanced perception spell. He gets ready to test out the new skill to boost his clear speed for the rest of the dungeon. Super hyped, Wei Dao is thrilled about saving a fortune by getting these rare skill manuals for free. He realizes he's farmed enough XP and decides to dump it all into leveling up his skeleton boar immediately. Taking the mystery bone fragment out of his tiny wooden box, the guy gets ready to start the mob's evolution process. Wei Dao touches his pawn's bony head and announces that the upgrade ritual is finally starting. Suddenly, a massive wave of dark, purple energy explodes, completely covering the skeleton boar. A system screen confirms that the skeleton boar successfully ranked up to the beast general tier. Looking at the monster's new heavy armored form, the MC is mind blown that its stats just went through the roof. Happy with the upgrade, Wei Dao pats the beast on the head and officially names it Papa. Next, he pulls out the grave incense to use as a catalyst to trigger his skeleton mage's evolution. Focusing his power, the MC touches his skeleton minion and orders it to evolve. Instantly, a massive blast of dark purple flames wraps around the skeleton mage in the middle of the forest. A new system alert pops up showing the creature successfully upgraded to the powerhouse boss class. Admiring the red-robed mage's epic new look, Wei Dao decides to name his new pawn Ains. With all his minion upgrades done, the MC celebrates that his squad is fully kitted out for battle. The guy sprints through the forest trees, hunting for the dangerous orc lair. Locked in, Wei Dao rushes straight toward enemy territory, planning to absolutely dominate the zone. Along the way, a squad of beefy minotaurs armed with battle axes blocks his path, grunting aggressively. Without wasting a second, an absolute barrage of burning magic spheres is blasted straight at the enemies in the woods. Caught completely off guard by the rush, one of the monsters barely manages a confused grunt before taking the hit. A massive explosion slams into the mobs, launching the minotaurs backward through the devastating fire. The MC throws his arm up and orders his entire undead army to launch a full-scale charge. Furious at the home invasion, a beefy purple minotaur roars loudly and hefts its giant axe. Having the time of his life, Wei Dao channels his purple magic and wishes he could just grind here until he drops. The brawl gets super intense as the skeleton pawns relentlessly push into the horde of raging monsters. 3 hours later, Peppa is panting, totally exhausted but buzzing with energy after taking down countless enemies in the woods. Walking through the leftover loot, Wei Dao gets a system ping confirming he successfully finished his first-class ascension. The notification breaks down that his immortality skill got buffed, letting him transfer any damage he takes directly to one of his summons. Stunned by the upgrade, the MC realizes this basically gives him God mode as long as he has minions around. Right after, the interface reveals his unique shovel got a new perk. He can reanimate any corpse he buries to fight for him. Gripping his iron shovel, the guy sarcastically jokes that grave robbing is a seriously toxic playstyle. Hidden in the thick forest canopy, a golden bow fires a lethal arrow straight at the guy. The projectile snipes through the air at insane speed, leaving a red light trail behind it. Sensing a random threat from behind, Wei Dao spins around, looking confused. But the arrow hits him dead in the chest, blasting him backward with crazy force. A massive explosion of smoke and dust wrecks the area where the MC went down from the snipe. Lying in the grass with the arrow sticking out of his chest, the guy coughs up blood, feeling the heavy impact of the hit. Blood starts soaking through his gear while he lays there totally motionless after taking the fatal shot. But suddenly the MC opens his eyes and lets out an evil laugh, realizing exactly what just happened. Standing up without a single scratch, Wei Dao celebrates that the attack damage transferred perfectly to his summons. In the distance, Peppa roars in pain after tanking the damage passed down from its boss. Because of that, one of his skeleton pawns gets completely vaporized from absorbing the heavy damage of the snipe. Out of nowhere, an agile, muscular creature jumps out of the trees, doing a mid-air spin with its blades ready. Activating his advanced perception spell, Wei Dao locks eyes with the new enemy to read its combat stats. A screen pops up with the stats for a level 15 Minotaur Yason, showing it's a highly dangerous, advanced, class elite sniper. Shocked by the stats, the MC is surprised to see this monster actually has its own AI and an active class. Yason fires another massive glowing arrow that snipes through the air straight at the MC. But Wei Dao uses his speed to dodge the projectile, feeling the crazy wind pressure practically shave his face. Waving away the dust, the guy breathes a sigh of relief, knowing he'd be dead twice over without his damage transfer skill. The sniper Minotaur lands perfectly on the forest floor, getting ready for its next attack phase. Feeling confident, the MC taunts that the enemy has blown all its cooldowns, and now it's his turn to deal damage. Spooked by the guy's insane tankiness, the elite monster actually takes a nervous step back. To Wei Dao's shock, Yason actually turns around and starts running away at top speed. Annoyed by the cowardly play, The guy orders his entire undead squad to chase the runner down immediately. The elite sniper dashes straight into a dark, creepy cave up ahead. Running right behind him, Pepper aggressively charges in following the MC's orders to stop him from escaping. Standing outside the creepy cave, the guy looks at the narrow entrance and wonders if this is actually a safe house. Taking his first step into the dark, Wei Dao gets a jump scare when he steps on a random human skeleton lying on the floor. Creeped out by the vibe, the guy wonders why there are so many dead bodies just chilling in here. Then he notices a bunch of other skeletons wearing broken armor scattered all over the dark tunnels. Realizing things are getting way too sketchy, the guy suddenly figures out he walked straight into a massive trap. Right on cue, a huge rock slide crashes down at the entrance, completely blocking the only way out of the dark cave. Dozens of glowing, hungry red eyes start lighting up in the shadows along the rock walls. Being sarcastic, Wei Dao slow claps the enemy strat, saying that mobs with actual AI know how to set up a solid gank. But the guy flares his purple aura and warns them he's not going down that easy to a bunch of mobs. The horde of angry minotaurs rushes in all at once, launching a heavy assault against his defensive line. Sparks and dust fly everywhere as the forces clash, while the skeleton warriors tank the axe hits like champs. Using their shields for cover, the undead counter attack with their swords right in the middle of the chaos. Watching the brawl up close, the MC points out that the enemy's weapons will break eventually, but his army is literally infinite. Raising his arm, the guy orders his summons to dump all their mana to absolutely nuke the enemies. Following orders, Ains charges up a massive spirit fire AO that completely wipes the cave. With the devastating blast, kill notifications spam the screen confirming a ton of high-level mobs got wiped. Wrapped in the glowing gold energy from the system, the guy celebrates, effortlessly hitting level 12. Suddenly, a massive earthquake shakes the cave floor as a new, gigantic boss spawns in. It's a massive Minotaur commander covered in red flames, roaring furiously at the human who dared enter. Looking totally unfazed, Wei Dao is just hyped for the chance to farm a ton of XP off this new boss. Letting out an angry roar, the huge Minotaur commander orders its mobs to attack and wipe out the intruder right now. A devastating ground smash sends a bunch of skeleton mages flying into the air, completely shattered. Cornered by the angry horde, the surviving minions try to hold the line while the boss lets out another deafening roar. Lunging forward with its giant axe, the monster targets Wei Dao directly, telling him to go straight to hell. The guy just smirks confidently, saying the setup is perfect and he's going to bury him next. Raging over his missed hit, the elite beast unleashes all its anger, tearing up the ground around it. But a skeletal leg firmly plants itself in the dust, stopping the massive enemy's charge dead in its tracks. Trying to crush the defender, the commander swings its axe, but gets super tilted when the hit is completely blocked by a simple bone structure. Wei Dao pops out from behind his minion, laughing at the situation, and says this is officially checkmate. Desperate, the Minotaur roars, charging up a massive amount of fire energy in its hands to counter. But Peppa beats him to it, blasting a devastating wave of fire right into the enemy's chest. Taking advantage of the opening, Ains jumps in and lands an insanely heavy combo magic attack. When the two powers clash, an overwhelming flash of light pierces right through the commander, leaving him zero chance to block. A colossal explosion wipes out the entire room, turning the giant boss into literal dust on the floor. Right after, the interface congratulates the guy on hitting level 13, while he brags about how ruthless Ains is. Gripping his iron shovel, the guy gets hyped, announcing that it's finally time to show off his real skills. Dozens of purple energy orbs start floating everywhere after the monsters got wiped. Super excited, the guy checks out his new loot, finding special incenses and even a heavy battle axe. Laughing with the magic gear in his hands, Wei Dao celebrates that he's going to make a fortune selling this loot. Packing the gear away, the guy heads deeper into the dark cave tunnels to keep grinding. Hiding in the shadows, the elite sniper smirks, revealing he's been camping the MC this whole time. Suddenly, a volley of energy arrows snipes through the air, but the guy easily sidesteps the sneak attack, seeing the arrows stuck in the ground right in front of him. Wei Dao mutters about the enemy's crazy aim. Shocked by the kid's reaction time, the elite Minotaur is stunned that his sneak attack totally failed. Pointing a finger and trash talking, the MC asks if the little calf actually thought he was out of stamina. Ains steps up looking boss right next to his commander, proving the enemy's strat was a total flop. Furious, the elite sniper asks how a noob necromancer can possibly keep so many active summons running at once. Wei Dao just claps back sarcastically, asking why a wild mob like him has so much human-level AI. Out of patience for talking, the guy raises his hand and orders his squad to rush the enemy with zero mercy. The skeleton warriors charge the Minotaur in a massive wave, following their boss's direct orders. Annoyed by the incoming mobs, the elite sniper yells at the kid not to celebrate early. The elite monster then glows with massive magical energy, charging up a heavy special attack. Instantly, a chain of heavy explosions hits the front line of skeletons, kicking up a ton of smoke in the cave. Using the dust cloud for cover, the Minotaur fires a ground, shattering wave right at the enemy squad. He charges his earth arrow, shooting a massive golden beam straight at the young Necromancer. The impact cracks the rock floor, causing a terrifying earthquake throughout the entire cave structure. Worried about the incoming danger, Wei Dao realizes it's a massive AO nuke. Giant golden spikes erupt violently from the floor, shredding everything in their path. Unable to dodge, multiple skeleton warriors get absolutely pulverized by the crushing earth attack. The guy points forward and orders his elite pawns to rush in right now and end this fight once and for all. Letting out a feral roar, Peppa launches a crazy fast charge wrapped in purple flames right at the enemy. Stunned by the monster's relentless push, the elite sniper barely has time to react to the insane attack speed. The heavy impact of the crash hits the enemy with pure brute force, knocking him backward. With no stamina left to tank the devastating shove, the Minotaur groans, realizing he's done for. A burning explosion wraps around the elite archer, sealing his fate in the fiery cave. Taking the flames head on, the Minotaur screams in pain, trying to stay on his feet in the middle of the chaos. Refusing to let up, Ains pops out of the shadows and blasts a massive fireball right in his face. Groaning from the insane heat of the magic attack, the weakened enemy tries to shield himself from the nuke. The core of the flame starts glowing intensely on the monster's chest, about to trigger the final explosion. The massive blast launches the beast body away, leaving nothing but smoke and dust in the cave. Looking at the damage, the MC shakes his head, feeling kinda bad for how pathetic his elite opponent ended up. Walking up to the downed body, Wei Dao is surprised to see the elite mob actually still has a little bit of HP left. Even though he wants to bury him, the guy decides to drag the breathing beast outside to hand him over to the city authorities for interrogation. Outside the portal, the guards are getting worried, talking about why 0 students have come back from the exam yet. Suddenly, the massive blue magic portal starts glowing crazy bright, letting off a huge spike of spiritual energy. A strong wave of dark power spills out of the rift, catching the attention of the guards on duty. Next, dozens of skeleton mages march out of the tunnel, led directly by their Necromancer boss. Relieved by the sudden activity, the military guards point at the entrance, celebrating that someone finally made it back. The guards recognize Wei Dao, looking like an absolute boss commanding his undead army in the courtyard. But everyone's jaw drops when they see a bunch of other injured, unconscious students being dragged out right behind him. Explaining what happened to the guard, the guy says an AI-controlled boss set up a trap and wiped the students one by one. Shocked by the report, the military officer decides to call HQ to request high-level backup to take out the monster. But the MC drops the unconscious elite Minotaur on the ground, casually telling them they don't need to bother. Pointing at the knocked-out monster, the guy brags that the zone's biggest threat has already been handled. Stunned to see a level 15 beast, the officer asks if he was the one who stopped it, and the guy just casually says yeah. Enjoying the flex, the MC asks where he can go to trade his dungeon loot for cash. Pointing at the main building, the guard tells him to head straight to the front desk over there. Happy with the directions, Wei Dao walks off chilling, leaving the authorities to deal with the rescued students. Walking into the reception area, the guy politely greets the clerk and asks to trade in his items. He dumps dozens of rare miter horns on the counter and asks for a legit appraisal on every piece. Eyes wide at the insane amount of loot, the worker has no idea how he managed to farm so many drops. After checking their legit, she calculates the rare loot pile is worth exactly 320,000 national coins. Super happy with the price, Wei Dao pulls out his phone and scans his payment code to close the deal. A notification pops up on his screen confirming the massive deposit hit his personal account. With his pockets full, the guy celebrates his W, planning to hit up the trading hub to hunt for rare gear. Heading back to the trade market, Wei Dao walks toward the huge commercial building under the late afternoon sky. He walks fast, hoping he doesn't bump into that same scammer merchant from before, but the shady vendor pops up waving happily, asking if the kid was looking for him. Fate plays him again, and he runs right into the guy. Annoyed, he pushes him away, claiming he doesn't have anything good on him. The merchant stops him, acting super friendly and promising he's got some god-tier merchandise. Ignoring the dude, the MC just keeps walking. The vendor then pulls out a skill book and a purple potion, complaining that no one wants to buy them. Stopping dead in his tracks, he turns around, looking curious. A special evolution potion and a tome to summon sentinels pop up on his UI. Wei Dao quickly spins around and asks how much those 2 relics cost. The merchant uses the moment to troll the kid, reminding him how he just turned him down. Trying to keep things chill, the MC dumps his entire bag of valuable drops on the floor and offers a straight trade for the new items. A bunch of rare relics cover the floor. Looking unimpressed, the scammer only offers 150,000 for the lot. Annoyed, the kid points at the axe and argues that item alone is worth a fortune. The merchant admits the kid actually learned how to haggle pretty fast. The vendor does the math, says the 2 items are worth 200,000, and offers a straight trade for all his loot. Taking the deal instantly, the MC locks it in. As they say goodbye, the man tells him to never show his full hand on the first offer. Watching the dealer walk away, the guy admits the dude is actually a really smooth talker. Even so, the guy waves from a distance, telling him to come back when he has new stock. Walking with his magic pawns, the guy decides to find an empty spot to test the new evolution potion. A sketchy guy in a cap is tracking him from behind, happy that the kid is alone. Smirking evilly, the enemy mutters that the kid messed with the wrong people. He then pulls out his glowing blue dagger. The assassin sneaks up quietly. Feeling the hostile aggro from behind, Wei Dao spins around instantly. Jumping forward, the attacker yells that the Chuan family put a bounty on the kid's head. But the lethal strike hits the shield of one of his skeleton warriors dead on. Laughing maliciously, the assassin pushes his blade against the shield, telling him to go to hell. With a brutal slash, the bone fighter gets completely shredded. Thinking the job is way too easy, he complains about wasting his time. Then a hand taps his shoulder. Wei Dao pops up completely unharmed right behind him, asking if he actually thought he won. Before he can even answer, the guy pulls out his elite blade, cutting the conversation short. With a lightning-fast strike, the MC hits the enemy right in the neck. The attacker drops to the floor, completely in shock. His HP drains away while he tries to figure out what just happened. A system alert pops up confirming the level 39 enemy is eliminated, dropping 30,000 XP. Putting his dagger away, the guy feels bad about having to use a mythic weapon on a human. Right after, the full moon shines bright over the dense forest. After burying the body deep in the woods, the guy loots a bunch of uncommon items and some underworld cash. He's amused to find out that burying humans gives completely different loot drops. Examining the weird paper with a skull on it, the guy tries to figure out what this mystic currency is used for. Suddenly, ghosts fly out of the bill, and the interface announces the underworld shop is now unlocked. A massive green screen pops up in front of his face, showing a bunch of legendary deals. He's totally blown away by the crazy secrets hidden in this mystic shop. But his hype dies down when he sees holy tums priced at hundreds of billions of coins. He also notices the Imperial armor sets cost an absolute fortune he can't even afford. Holding his single $10 bill, he complains that it's literally impossible to buy anything, so he closes the shop, planning to save up a bigger balance for later. Focused on upgrading his pawns, he decides to dump his resources into the Skeleton Sentinel. The purple rift glows brightly on the forest floor. An entity wearing iron armor and carrying a massive shield takes shape, showing off its elite stats. Happy with the fighter's build, he praises its insane tanking stats. He pours the evolution potion on his soldier's skull, triggering the upgrade. A dark flash wraps around the guard, promoting the minion to the Grand Commander tier. He gets hyped seeing the creature's HP jump to almost 4,000. The guy names the giant new minion, Little Chiang. Next, the guy calls Ains over to go through the exact same upgrade process. Pouring the potion, he watches the new transformation happen. Ains spawns back in looking epic, wearing a red robe and covered in flames after leveling up. He celebrates the minion's insanely high spirit stat. Happy with his squad's progress, the guy decides to head home and log off for the day. From a distance, the old man with white hair watches the kid's crazy fast progression, totally impressed. The next morning, the massive Su family mansion stands out under the bright morning sun. In the meeting room, the family patriarch gets the report from his loyalty spy. The old man details how the kid completely owned the elite assassin, and even buried him in the woods. Stunned by the news, the boss wonders why the kid would even bother burying the guy. He quickly figures out the kid is strong enough to solo defend himself. The dad knows his daughter wants to beat her rival fair and square, and wants the kid kept safe, so he orders the security detail to stay active to block any more enemy ganks. Meanwhile, a mystic portal opens up in the highly dangerous orc dungeon. Wei Dao steps through the tunnel, locked in on exploring every secret in the zone. Wei Dao dashes through the woods, focused on fully clearing out the orc lair today. But in the distance, a group of minotaurs is gathered around an altar doing some weird ritual. Peeking from behind some trees, the guy realizes something seriously sketchy is going on in the clearing. His UI reveals the group's leader is a level 20 Minotaur cleric. The guy figures out he got lured away earlier, just so he wouldn't interrupt their sacrifice event. Suddenly, the creature sniffs the air and detects an intruder near the sanctuary. Annoyed, it orders its guards to grab the trespasser immediately. Without hesitating, the Minotaur warriors charge full speed toward the intrusion zone. Spotting the enemy push, Wei Dao summons Little Chiang to take the front line and tank the hit. Instantly, the giant skeleton raises its massive purple shields, completely blocking the path. The monsters crash into the shield wall, but fail to deal any damage to the defense. Meanwhile, the MC orders Ains to launch the counter-attack. A massive explosion of flames completely wipes out the Minotaurs in one shot. Stunned, the cleric watches his loyal fighters get melted with zero effort. The creature then flares a devastating red aura, charging up its own spell. Raising its staff, it prays to Mother Earth for ultimate power. But Wei Dao just trolls him, asking if the beast seriously thinks he's going to let him finish casting. Wasting no time, the guy orders Peppa to finish the fight for good. With a lightning, fast charge, the skeletal beast slams right into the cleric's chest. The commander gets launched brutally into the ground from the impact. Panicking, the enemy begs the creature to stay away, but Peppa jumps on him, ending the fight with a crushing blow. The interface confirms the W, dropping 20,000 X points. Wrapped in golden light, the MC celebrates finally hitting level 14. Looking at the ground, the guy notices the enemy dropped a mystery skill book. He sees it's a B-tier advanced meditation skill. Amazed by the loot, Wei Dao realizes he just pulled an absolute god tier relic for free. Without hesitating, the guy tells the system to learn the new spell. A glowing pop-up confirms the skill was successfully learned. Sitting down in the grass, the guy decides to test his new power immediately. While meditating, he gets a massive stat buff and levels up to 16. Blown away, the guy realizes AFK grinding is way more efficient than hunting mobs in the woods. Deciding to take it easy, the guy goes through the return portal, planning to just chill until tournament day. A few days later, the city streets are buzzing with activity under the morning sun. In his room, Wei Dao wraps up his daily training, surrounded by a strong golden aura. Opening his eyes, the guy feels completely ready to take on today's unified tournament. Super confident, the MC gets ready to finally show off his true potential. Meanwhile, the massive combat arena at Qinjiang's first academy is prepping for the big event. In the stands, hundreds of students are nervously talking about how dangerous this year's practical exam is. In the middle of the arena, the announcer declares that the monsters for the test have finally arrived. A screen shows that the enemies range from goblins and minotaurs to slimes, leveled from 10 to 20. The supervisor explains that every student gets to pick the amount and type of monsters they want to fight. With mic in hand, the MC calls the first challenger, Lu Ming, to the combat stage. Jumping down smoothly, the young swordsman enters the arena ready for the brawl. Confident, Lu Ming announces he wants to fight 10 basic minotaurs and 1 level 15 commander. Instantly, the summoned mobs spawn into the arena, surrounding the challenger to start the fight. Wasting no time, Lu Ming pops his skill, calling out his crimson orb armor. Wrapped in red flames, the guy gets a glowing shield covering his entire body. He grips his flaming sword, glowing brightly in front of the enemy squad. Scanning from the crowd, the students recognize the famous level 5 slime sword he's using. Hearing them talk, Wei Dao gets tilted, realizing the scammer bought his item for nothing and flipped it for a massive profit. On the field, the swordsman dashes in fast, dropping a special lightning attack on the beasts. With quick movement, he slices through the minotaurs in the blink of an eye, using his glowing blade. He ends his dash looking super solid in the arena. The explosion wipes out all the entities at once, kicking up a ton of dust. The screen shows Lu Ming scored 161 points, clearing the stage for Shuxiaoqing. Stepping onto the platform with her epic golden light sword, the girl gets ready for her run. Without hesitating, she announces she wants to fight 5 goblin bosses at the max level of 20. Shocked by the flex, the students gossip about how broken her epic angelic class is. Watching from afar, Wei Dao notices she is super motivated to beat him no matter what. Instantly, the giant green creatures spawn into the arena while everyone watches closely. Raging, the 5 elite monsters roar loudly, getting ready to crush her. Keeping her cool, Shuxiaoqing spreads her glowing wings, charging up a massive amount of golden energy. Launching into the air, the girl raises her holy saber to drop a devastating attack. With precise movement, she drops her holy light slash, cutting through the air at insane speed. A massive energy beam hits the ground, completely splitting the arena in half. Unable to block, the beasts are completely vaporized by the sheer force of the hit. Mind blown by the scene, the students can barely believe she won, shot at all of them. On the mic, the announcer excitedly declares she got a perfect score of 300 points. The crowd goes absolutely crazy in the stands, chanting the school beauty's name. Walking with confidence, Shuxiaoqing taunts Wei Dao, telling him it's time to take the L. Watching closely, the rival principals admit they're shocked and start talking about the existence of a hidden class. Super proud, Principal Wang happily confirms he has total faith in his students' performance. Curious about the kid's potential, the guest asks how many bosses he plans to challenge today. Thinking about it, Principal Wang hopes the kid can take on at least 10 monsters safely. Overhearing the principals, one of them calls cap on that, saying 5 bosses is already the all-time tournament record. Looking determined, he suggests everyone just watch the monitor to see for themselves. The announcer calls Wei Dao to the arena over the mic, while the crowd watches closely. Stepping into the arena, the guy walks right up to Zhu Jiaqing and asks for a small favor. He explains it's something easy for her family to handle, promising he'll go all out to show his true power if she agrees. In the stands, the students talk Wei Dao's cocky attitude, calling him shameless for talking like that. The girl sets one condition: He has to beat her score in the exam before she agrees to the deal. With that, the MC takes a confident step right into the center of the massive school arena. Reaching the middle, he stands there totally chill while everyone in the stands watches curiously. Raising one finger, the guy makes the insane request to fight 100 level 20 slime bosses all at once. Absolutely stunned by the crazy request, the announcer panics and stutters, not believing the audacity. The students nearby think the idea is complete madness, saying he'll pass out from exhaustion before even hitting them all. The announcer asks if he seriously wants to do this, but the kid replies he's got it all mapped out. He even adds that he actually wanted to ask for double the mobs, but the arena literally wouldn't fit them. Trying to hide his embarrassment, Principal Wong asks them to just release the 100 monsters so they don't ruin the kid's vibe. With no reason to deny the crazy request, the supervisor agrees but warns Wei Dao to be super careful out there. Instantly, a massive teleportation magic circle lights up the arena floor. Because of that, an insane number of giant blue slimes spawn in, covering almost the entire space. Unfazed by the mob count, the MC pops his skill, summoning his entire dark army. An epic squad of skeleton mages rises from the shadows, wrapped in thick purple summoning energy. Right after, the terrifying beast Peppa spawns in, roaring furiously at the new blue enemies. In the stands, the students panic when they see the three massive general tier summons commanded by the guy. Ignoring the crowd's reaction, the slime horde rushes the defense line at top speed. The shield sentinels under Wei Dao's command step up, blocking the corrosive poison to protect the rest of the squad. In the backline, the skeleton mages charge their fire spells, setting up a destructive covering fire. As the first spells hit, a chain of massive explosions wipes out the enemies in an absolute storm of fire. The MC points his arm, ordering his three elite generals to go all in on the beasts. Leading the charge, the powerful mage Ains orders the complete vaporizing of every mob left on the field. Peppa launches a devastating ground charge, crushing and shattering any monster trying to dodge. At the same time, the giant Little Chiang delivers precise shield bashes, slicing through the slimes one by one. A massive purple fire explosion wipes out the last few mobs, trying to group up in the middle of the arena. Taking advantage of the opening, the Bone Warriors brutally finish off the remaining targets with zero counterplay. In the stands, a student nervously points out how brutal it is to watch elite monsters get farmed without even fighting back. Analyzing it seriously, Shushaking admits this is the real power her rival was flexing earlier. Standing in the trail of fire, the MC laughs out loud, claiming all this destruction is just pure explosive aesthetics. Right after, a colossal blast completely ends the match, covering the arena in thick white smoke. The exam interface confirms Wei Dao eliminated all 100 slime bosses and ends the trial. Moved by the finale, the announcer yells, voice shaking, that they just witnessed absolute history. Pointing at the official scoreboard, the announcer reveals the kids scored a record, breaking 900 points on the practical test. The students jump to their feet, cheering and clapping for the absolute carry of the exam. Furious about his rivals, Qian Zhao storms out of the room, raging over his humiliating loss. He mutters to himself that it's impossible, refusing to accept that the MC got so OP in such a short time. Shu Xiaoqing congratulates the guy on the flawless run and asks what that simple favor he mentioned was. The guy seriously explains he's worried about the Qian family trying to grief his family for revenge. Curious, the girl listens closely, trying to figure out what she can actually do to help him out. The MC puts his hands together, politely asking her to send guards for his family, promising he'll pay her back later. Thinking it's a super easy favor, the girl agrees immediately and promises she'll handle it, no problem. Super happy, the guy hugs her tightly, showing how grateful he is for the help protecting his family. Seeing the hug from afar, Qian Zhao loses his mind, screaming that he'll take out his rival for daring to touch Shu Xiaoqing. Hours later, a quiet night finally falls over the neighborhood where Wei Dao's room is. Sitting in his room, the guy logs onto his PC to check the state leaderboard updates. He types in his login details to check his rank in the big unified tournament. Suddenly, his phone starts buzzing with notifications, instantly grabbing his attention. Hearing loud knocking at the front door, the guy gets out of his chair to check out the random visit. Grabbing the doorknob, he asks out loud who's there before unlocking it. Opening the door, he sees his dad, mom, and little sister standing in the hallway with their luggage. Smirking, the girl complains about how slow he was to open the door, joking about what he was doing in there. Really happy, the MC smiles and says he wasn't expecting all of them to show up from their trip so soon. The dad explains they hit the road the second he called, while the mom tells everyone to get inside. Being nosy, the little sister runs straight to his desk chair to snoop on what he was looking at on the screen. Staring at the glowing monitor, the little girl is totally shocked reading the leaderboard stats. The screen shows the official results, confirming Wei Dao took the #1 spot in the city and the entire state. Thrilled by the win, she screams that her brother is officially the MVP of the whole unified tournament. Flexing casually, he pats his sister on the head, claiming that result was just an average run for him. Pouting at her brother's flex, the youngest sister swears she'll beat his score when it's her turn to take the exams. Super proud of his epic achievement, his parents congratulate him and ask which top-tier university he's planning to go to. Without hesitating, the MC reveals he's enrolling in the famous Modu Vocational University in a few days. The guy explains he's leaving soon and asks them to just chill here safely, since Shu Xiaoking's family will handle their security. With a firm pat on the shoulder, the dad gives his official blessing and tells his son to be careful out there. The guy then says his goodbyes, hugging his parents tightly to enjoy his last moments with the family. Days later, the modern architecture of Modu Vocational University looks epic under the bright sun. Walking confidently, the MC hits the campus reception desk to check in as a freshman. He flashes his official acceptance letter to the staff handling the newbie registration. Looking bored out of his mind, the pink-haired worker just tells the kid to go wait on the side with the other students. Suddenly, a pretty girl dragging her suitcase walks up, introducing herself to the upperclassmen as Nanji. Simping over how cute she is, the guys lose it, whispering that this year's freshmen are top tier. The upperclassmen rush over, offering to carry her bags and help with whatever she needs. Watching the scene, Wei Dao notices the VIP treatment and thinks their obvious simping is pretty funny. The pink-haired senior immediately volunteers to give the girl a full campus tour. Out of nowhere, a chubby kid comes running in, desperate, carrying a huge bag on his back, begging them to wait up. He introduces himself as Pei Qian and shows his letter, proving he's a new student too. Reading the name, the senior thinks it's a super unfortunate name and cracks a joke about it. Wasting no time, the senior tells all the freshmen to follow him so they can get started. Walking next to him, Wei Dao notices the chubby kid has some seriously crazy spiritual energy. Curious to see what's up, the MC pops his perception skill to stat check the guy. The UI reveals Pei Qian has a hidden blood sacrifice priest class at level 11. Stunned by the reveal, Wei Dao is impressed to see this kid is rocking a hidden class too. Wei Dao introduces himself as a summoner, and his new bro jokes that they seem pretty similar. Pei Qian hypes up the power of summons, and the MC humbly replies that he's pretty strong too. Up ahead, the senior points to the dorms, explaining that only the top players get into the best districts, 1 through 4. Amazed by the rules, Pei Qian asks if the senior is strong too, and the guy proudly confirms his rank. Arriving at the front desk, the senior introduces himself to the manager, saying he brought the freshmen for check-in. He tells the group to hand over their letters so the old man can process them. The 3 IDs get dropped on the counter for the official stat check. Scanning the papers, the old man is surprised to see Nanji and asks if she's really from that famous family. Without hesitating, the old guy hands her a gold key, announcing she's been placed in the VIP dorm 1 in District 1. Shocked by the privilege, the senior asks if there's a glitch, but the old man snaps back that his eyes work just fine. Embarrassed by the scolding, the pink-haired guy hopes the other 2 noobs get thrown into the bottom-tier districts. But the old man announces that both Pei Qian and Wei Dao are going straight to the District 2 dorms. The senior completely loses his mind seeing 2 random kids pull crazy high placements. Walking through the dorm courtyard, Pei Qian notices something going down and makes a confused noise. Pointing to the side, the chubby guy points out a pretty girl, and the MC is surprised to see his rival Shu Xiaoking there. Hearing her name, the epic class girl spins around instantly to see who is calling her out. Wasting no time, Pei Qian runs up to the girl, super hyped, trying to introduce himself and be friendly, but she completely ignores him and walks straight to the MC to ask what his room number is. Totally bummed by the cold shoulder, the chubby guy complains and starts guessing if the 2 rivals are secretly dating. The girl then excitedly reveals she's also in District 2, super close to the MC's room. Suddenly, a soft female voice calls the guy's name, interrupting the group's chat in the courtyard. Wei Dao turns around, curious, and politely asks the new visitor who she is. The attractive teacher, Wang Yamen, officially introduces herself as the new head of the summoning department. She walks up, hyping the kid's skills for pulling the highest score in the state on the recent exams. Being super friendly, the teacher admits she has crazy high expectations for his performance in class. A little flustered by the random approach, the kid jokes, asking her not to be too sweaty with his training. She officially welcomes him and drops a reminder about the massive orientation event happening tomorrow. Saying bye with a smile, Wang Yamen walks away chill, leaving the kid thinking in the courtyard. Shaking his head, Wei Dao comments on her hype, while Nanji pokes fun, saying he looked like he was enjoying it. Confused by the comment, Wei Dao tries to defend himself, but the girl just walks away muttering about how guys act. Meanwhile, in a totally isolated zone, a massive storm of dark purple energy tears through the sky. Scanning the glitch from afar, a guy in a suit is totally stunned by the mystic anomaly that just popped up out of nowhere. Adjusting his glasses nervously, he guesses it's the spawn of a dangerous new ancient ruin. Seeing the massive threat, the man runs frantically to report the emergency straight to the academy director. Night falls over the university buildings, with just a few windows glowing in the quiet campus. In his office, Director Wang Goei sips his tea chilling, noting that this year's freshman class is looking super promising. Suddenly, a staff member bursts into the room panicking, warning that new ancient ruins just spawned out of nowhere. Surprised by the news, the boss slams his desk hard, demanding to know what happened and where this glitch is. Sweating, the worker explains the spawn happened 50 kilometers west in the desert zone, and the tier looks like beginner level. Hearing that, the director chills out a bit and figures the situation isn't as bad as it looked. Thinking it over, the man plans to send a raid team tomorrow, and just bring the freshmen along to watch from a safe distance. But the worker reminds him tomorrow is the orientation event, so the director decides to move the whole event near the ruins. Agreeing with the order, the staff member just nods, confirming he got the memo and will handle the changes. The next morning, students start crowding the big grassy field next to the forest for the opening ceremony. Arriving with a smile, teacher Wang Yamen greets the students happily, wishing everyone a great day. Wei Dao walks up calmly and replies politely, wishing his teacher a good day too. Noticing the kid looks kinda low energy, she asks if he didn't sleep well. But the guy tries to play it off, saying it's nothing. Stepping up to the podium with a mic, Director Wang Goei introduces himself as the combat zone manager to kick off the event. He announces that every freshman gets 100 free points to trade for rare loot. Hyped about the free points, some students gossip that the school's vault probably has some god-tier items to claim. The director then mentions everyone got super lucky today, making the kids wonder what he's talking about. He explains a beginner ruin spawned last night, and they get the rare chance to watch the raid team up close. Hearing that, the crowd of freshmen goes crazy, hyped for the chance to spectate the special run. Curious, a blue-haired student asks if they get access to go inside, but the teacher warns the risk is way too high for noobs. Thinking about it, Wei Dao tries to figure out the actual difference between mystery ruins, normal dungeons, and secret realms. Patiently, the teacher explains that secret realms are actually completely real, standalone universes. Continuing the lore dump, the teacher says even their own planet is considered a secret realm by other intelligent species. She details that dungeons are just fragmented projections of those realms, where the mobs have zero AI and just respawn on a loop. Curious, Wei Dao asks where the real secret realms go and what the lore is behind the ruins spawning. Straight up, the teacher clarifies that unlike the projections, ruins don't despawn on their own after they drop into the world. Showing holograms of relics, she points out these zones hold crazy good loot like potions, skills, and OP gear. Getting serious, she reveals the best drop is the core matrix that keeps that fragment floating in space. Because of that, the teacher explains the whole ruin instantly collapses the second someone manages to grab that mystic core. Curious about the mechanics, Wei Dao asks how they even get inside the zone, while purple energy starts forming right behind him. Clearing it up, the teacher explains a thick spawns at the rift and teleports anyone caught in the OE. Pointing to the side, Wei Dao sarcastically asks if that massive dark smoke cloud rolling in is exactly what she just described. Looking where he pointed, the teacher absolutely panics when she sees the hazard spreading fast across the courtyard. Desperate as it rushes in, everyone notices the ruin's entrance is expanding at terrifying speed right toward the crowd. The teacher screams for everyone to run immediately before the purple fog swallows the clustered students. Trying to run but failing, a red-haired kid panics as he realizes the portal is already pulling him in. In the middle of the panic, students scream for help while getting sucked into the dark energy vortex. Watching the disaster from afar, the director and his team are helpless against the unstoppable push of the mystery storm. Worried, the boss points out that a basic beginner ruin portal should literally never expand this fast. Suddenly, an energy blast hits the zone, and the director realizes someone is sabotaging the school exam from the shadows. Wrapped in purple energy tethers, Wei Dao tries to resist with everything he has, but can't break out of the vortex. Seeing the kid get dragged into the shadows, the teacher screams Wei Dao's name, desperately trying to grab him. With zero counterplay, the guy gets completely sucked into the dark portal, vanishing into the center of the storm. With a heavy thud, the MC's boots hit the solid dirt after the mystic teleport finishes. Scanning the area, Wei Dao sees a massive sandy desert under an orange sky, and complains about getting dropped in the middle of nowhere. Walking solo, the MC looks around, nervously wondering where the heck all the other students went. Spotting lone footprints in the sand, the guy sighs, realizing he got separated from the squad yet again. Suddenly, a massive monster that looks like a giant centipede bursts violently out of the sand, kicking up a ton of dust. Jump scared by the spawn, the guy is face to face with the huge bug, its glowing red eyes staring him down. Dodging smoothly, the kid sidesteps the creature's first crazy lunge and rages about what kind of weird mob this is. The monster slams the ground with its spiked tail, causing a huge shockwave that sends rocks and dirt flying everywhere. Popping his scan spell fast, Wei Da locks eyes with the beast to check its combat stats. The interface pops up, showing it's a level 30 elite mob with insanely high strength and HP stats. The guy complains about his terrible RNG, pulling a tier 2 elite mob right at the start of his ruin run. With zero chill, the creature rushes in, spamming fast attacks, while the kid hits perfect dodge rolls to avoid the hits. Ready to fight back, the MC summons his undead squad, popping multiple purple magic circles all around him. With his summons deployed, the guy points at the target and firmly orders his warriors to take the giant bug out. Instantly, the skeleton mage squad surrounds the massive elite bug, completely blocking its escape routes. Following their boss's orders, the bone entities raise their arms and start charging heavy fireballs for the attack. A massive barrage of burning explosions hits the monster dead on, covering the whole arena in flames and dark smoke. Under the insane burst damage, the elite monster's armor starts cracking and breaking from the extreme heat of the magic. Happy with the combo, Wei Da laughs out loud, celebrating that his strategy of spamming the enemy is working. Taking advantage of the opening, the guy orders his minions to keep spamming attacks and finish the low HP enemy in the sand. Following orders, the skeleton mages unleash another devastating volley of fireballs at the trapped target. A massive explosion completely deletes the elite creature, leaving nothing but smoke and debris on the battlefield. A system window pops up congratulating Wei Da for beating the level 30 siege bug, dropping 1500 XP. Turning to dust in the sand, the defeated creature's body starts glowing with golden energy, revealing the loot drop. The Mystic UI shows the reward details, a heavy siege blade with a plus 300 strength buff. Holding his trusty iron shovel, the guy points out that a high-level mob like this has to have better drops hidden. Determined to find out, he steps up to the sand mound, declaring he's going to dig up whatever rare loot is buried there. With a bright flash coming from the ground, the dirt starts shaking as the MC's shovel activates its special digging perk. To the guy's shock, a tiny mystic plant with golden fruit instantly sprouts and grows on top of the desert grave. Pulsing with strong spiritual energy, one of the golden fruits pops open, blinding the kid with a bright flash of light. 3 mystery banknotes float in the air, while the interface confirms he just looted 3 underworld coins. Super hyped about the random drop, Wei Da celebrates bagging the rare mystic currency to spend in the secret shop. Holding the dark cash, Wei Da gets excited knowing that killing mobs in these ruins drops underworld money too. Figuring he's in the right zone, he then checks out his new glowing weapon, seeing the raw power of the heavy siege blade. Grouping up his massive undead army around him, the guy decides it's time to keep pushing deeper into the desert. Meanwhile, somewhere else in the massive desert, 3 students are walking, totally exhausted by the heavy wind blowing sand everywhere. Feeling the drain from the insane heat, the blonde kid stops walking for a sec to catch his breath in the wasteland. His red-haired buddy complains that they've been walking forever, without seeing a single other player. Suddenly, a weird, fast scurrying sound in the sand breaks the silence of the empty desert. Spooked by the sudden noise right behind them, the blonde kid spins around fast to see what's rushing them. To his horror, a monstrous creature spawns, charging aggressively while his buddy screams at him to dodge the giant bug. Instantly, the monster's massive mouth full of sharp teeth snaps shut, trying to crush the kid. Watching the nightmare from a distance, the other 2 squad mates back up in a panic, realizing it's a dangerous giant insect. Without thinking, the red-haired kid turns around and starts sprinting, screaming for his friend to run away as fast as possible. The kid in the gray suit panics, asking what kind of terrifying mob that is, but his buddy tells him to shut up and keep running. Spotting the chaos and dust from afar, Wei Da notices people and realizes they look like students from his university. Relieved by the find, the MC waves happily, celebrating the fact that he finally found his squad in this massive desert. Running for their lives, the red-haired kid screams a warning that there's a terrifying monster right behind them. The massive elite insect keeps pushing forward at crazy speed, destroying everything in its path. But instead of getting scared, Wei Da looks super hyped, realizing it's just another siege bug. The MC steps up confidently, summoning his skeleton mages and celebrating that his new source of underworld coins just arrived. Seeing the kid run in the opposite direction, the fleeing students are totally confused and wonder if he lost his mind rushing straight into a game over. Without hesitating, Wei Da points at the target and yells for his skeleton pawns to drop the monster instantly. Instantly, a barrage of explosive spells hits the creature dead on, causing a massive purple fire explosion in the desert. Totally stunned by how easy that was, the surviving kids admit that Necromancer classes are actually insane. The kid with glasses points out that he's a summoner too, but his red-haired buddy claps back that the real power belongs to that mystery kid. Right after the fight, Wei Dao uses his shovel to quickly bury the monster under the glowing interface markers in the sand. Holding the new cash, the MC complains that the underworld coin drop rate is still way too low for the stuff he wants to buy. Suddenly, a massive earthquake violently shakes the sandy ground, putting the guy on high alert. Looking back suspiciously, Wei Dao wonders what the heck is causing all that screeching noise in the distance. In the clearing, other students start screaming in absolute terror, trying to run away from the incoming threat. To everyone's shock, a giant horde of hundreds of siege bugs appears, marching aggressively across the desert. Seeing that nightmare, the MC realizes an actual massive swarm of giant bugs is rushing in. In total panic, the two kids scream in despair, believing this is definitely where their run ends. Wasting no time, Wei Dao throws his hand out, popping a massive purple magic circle right on the desert sand. Jumping onto his elite beast, the kid tells Peppa to sprint at top speed to escape the horde. Amazed by the epic mount, the red-haired kid yells in shock, realizing it's a general tier beast. With the mount's insane speed, the survivors decide to follow the MC, hoping he'll carry them to safety. Running with everything they have, the two kids scream for the guy to wait for them, but the giant bug horde stays right on their heels, growling furiously without letting up. One of the mobs almost catches the stragglers, taking dangerous swipes right by their heads as they run. Looking back, Wei Dao notices the massive swarm is completely locked onto him, refusing to drop a grow. Annoyed by the relentless chase, the guy complains, not understanding why the monsters are only targeting him. Analyzing the path seriously, he guesses the beasts are zeroing in on him and suspects there's an AI commander controlling the mob. The MC speeds past another group of students who recognize the guy from their elite university. Checking out the fast mount, the green-haired kid complains that his own winged wolf looks like trash compared to that beast. With no time to chat, Wei Dao blows past them, dropping a clear warning for the group to start running from the bug swarm behind him. Confused by the random warning, the kids in the group wonder if there really is a huge threat coming their way. Their doubts vanish instantly when they see the massive dust cloud and the monsters charging right at them. In absolute panic, Lu Yu jumps straight onto his winged wolf, deciding to ditch everyone and save himself. Desperate, his guildmates beg Lu Yu to carry them on his mount, saying they won't survive on their own. But Lu Yu rejects the request, harshly shoving his teammate's hand away so he can escape faster. Showing zero mercy, the guy signals his wolf to speed up, leaving the rest of his squad in the dust. Looking back coldly, Lu Yu yells that carrying 3 people on the mount would be suicide, and tells them to just stay there. Left to die, the students are stunned by the cowardice and sudden betrayal of their supposed ally. Filled with rage and despair, the young archer draws his weapon, declaring that if he's dying here, Lu Yu is going down with him. The guy fires a flaming arrow with all his strength right at the traitor trying to escape. The projectile cuts through the air at insane speed, leaving a trail of fire right at the target in the desert. Surprised by the backstab, Lu Yu screams in pain as he realizes he just got sniped by his own teammate. Taking the hit, the guy loses his balance and crashes into the sand, falling right off his wolf mount. Lying on the ground with an arrow in his back, Lu Yu curses furiously at his own teammate's revenge. But his time runs out when the starving bug horde reaches the defenseless kids, spreading screams of terror across the clearing. With nowhere to hide in the sand, Lu Yu gets completely swarmed by the sharp claws of the monsters. In seconds, the giant mass of hungry bugs covers the entire clearing, silencing the desperate screams for help once and for all. Meanwhile, at the official ruin entrance surrounded by warning tape, a military setup is monitoring the situation. Inside the command tent, a bunch of high-ranking officers are discussing the current crisis. Speaking up, the bearded officer announces to the commanders that they finally figured out what caused the ruin fog glitch. Listening closely, the white-haired old director gestures for the officer to continue the briefing. Looking serious, the military guy reveals that the whole anomaly wasn't random, but a planned magical attack. Shocked by the massive reveal, the director asks in disbelief if it's even possible someone is pulling the strings. Continuing his logic, the officer asks if everyone still remembers the terrible incident from last month. The military man reminds them that foreign factions invaded the dungeons of Xinjiang and 18 other major cities. He adds that the invaders attacked several students during training, resulting in hundreds of tragic deaths. Seriously, he guarantees he has enough proof that both attacks were launched by the exact same group of criminals. Furious about the constant threat to his students, the director demands to know who is actually responsible right now. Staring dead at the commanders, the officer regretfully reveals that the dangerous 10,000 races sect is behind it. Stunned by the news, one of the officials slams his fist hard onto the wooden table in the command tent. Raging at the invaders' audacity, the officer slams his fist and curses those sewer rats for daring to strike again. The man orders the immediate wiping out of all the sect's heady-outs and demands a public execution for its members. Locked in, all the generals in the room stand up fast and loudly confirm the order with total conviction. Meanwhile, the elite boar speeds through the massive desert zone, kicking up a ton of dust. It crosses the wasteland at top speed, driven by its necromancer boss looking for a safe way out of the desert. Reaching the edge of the sand, Peppa finally stops in front of a dense, mysterious green forest. Checking out the sudden biome change, Wei Dao is intrigued by how different this zone is. The kid walks slowly, wondering if he just found an actual oasis in the middle of this massive desert ruin. He starts walking through the thick vines and spots a tiny green creature chilling on a branch nearby. Curious about the soft noise from the leaves, the MC stops for a second to focus. Jump scared, the kid steps back and yells when he sees the weird-looking little creature pop up right in front of him. Wasting no time, Wei Dao pops his advanced perception spell to stat. Check the mystery monster. The UI panel shows the new enemy is just a basic poison larva, sitting at a measly level 2. Suddenly, the tiny green creature starts floating in the air, glowing with a strong, threatening magic aura. Totally terrified, the bug lets out a high-pitched squeal, making the kid yell in surprise at the little mob's reaction. Annoyed, the kid lands a clean hit with his shovel, smashing the tiny poison larva against the tree in the blink of an eye. A floating system window congratulates Wei Dao for killing the basic mob, dropping a pathetic single X point. The guy complains about the trash reward, asking if the interface thinks he's some kind of beggar. Looking at the mob's remains, he wonders if he'll get any good relics by burying this little larva in the dirt. 10 minutes later, a tiny tree with golden fruit grows super fast out of the dirt mound under the afternoon sun. Glowing brightly, a golden bill pops out of the fruit, confirming he got 1 underworld coin for the burial. Getting super greedy, Wei Dao celebrates, realizing that burying every bug in this forest is going to make him filthy rich in no time. Snapping his fingers, the MC summons his undead squad, showing off a strong, glowing purple energy aura. Pointing at the branches full of green larvae, the kid orders his summons to start farming immediately. Meanwhile, in a clearing nearby, a pink-haired girl lying in the grass desperately begs for help. Standing over her, a mystery assassin holding a bloody blade demands to know where Nan Jai and Pi Qian are. Crying in terror, the girl begs for her life, swearing she has no idea where the other 2 freshmen went. Showing zero mercy, the dark fighter lands a fatal blow, taking out the defenseless student. Wiping his blade, the enemy complains that the noobs from this university are way too weak and can't even take 1 hit. He keeps walking through the forest, remembering that those 2 prodigies are his main targets for this hit. He figures wiping out the 2 prodigies will guarantee his promotion to Holy Sun in his dangerous organization. Suddenly, the fighter stops when he spots a tiny plant growing on a fresh grave in the clearing. Intrigued by the weird grave in the middle of the forest ruins, he walks closer to check it out. Getting greedy, the assassin guesses some explorer buried high tier loot under the dirt mound. Without hesitating, he uses his claws to dig up the small dirt grave, looking super eager. But the fighter only finds a squishy, gross body of a crushed poison larva rotting in the dirt. Raging, he yells, trying to figure out who would be dumb enough to bury basic bug drops here. Wiping the green slime off his hands with some dry leaves, the enemy complains heavily about the trash loot. Suddenly, a skeletal shadow wrapped in purple smoke dashes through the clearing, running right behind the fighter. Alerted by the noise in the bushes, the fighter spins around fast to see what just ran past him. Looking ahead, he's completely stunned to see hundreds of tiny graves scattered all over the clearing. Confused by the weird setup, the long-haired guy wonders why there are so many graves in this zone. 3 skeleton mages step out of the shadows from behind the dirt mounds, holding their glowing combat staffs. The undead pawns start charging up powerful fireballs, getting ready to blast the intruder. Drawing his glowing saber, the enemy complains about the mob's sneak attacking without any warning. While the skeleton mages hold the line, the golden underworld bills float straight into the storage bag. Super happy, Wei Dao dances with his summons, noticing his magic coin stash is already nearing 50 grand. Suddenly, a system ping warns the kid that 10 of his skeleton mages just got wiped out in combat. Panicking over losing his minions so fast in the woods, the MC is clueless about what caused the deaths. Riding on Peppa next to little Chiang, the guy orders everyone to rush over and investigate the attack zone. Arriving at the battleground, the kid only finds purple dust and shattered bones scattered across the grass. Scanning the area suspiciously, Wei Dao thinks the dead silence is weird and wonders why nothing is moving. The danger returns when a strong red energy beam snipes through the forest straight at his remaining summons. With a devastating hit, the flaming blade slices one of his skeleton mages in half, destroying it instantly. Furious at the attack, the MC yells for the cowardly intruder to step out and show themselves. Stepping out of the shadows with his mystic saber drawn, the assassin looks at the kid and realizes the necromancer looks familiar. With a dark smirk, the enemy recognizes the tournament leader, Wei Dao, and celebrates finding an easy target. Walking up acting fake, the fighter introduces himself as Bai Yi, using a friendly tone with the MC. Acting cynical, the invader gives a fake apology for hitting and smashing Wei Dao's summons, claiming it was just an accident. Suspicious of Bai Yi's sketchy vibe, the kid decides to keep his guard up, knowing this guy is bad news. Wei Dao replies sarcastically, pretending to accept the apology, and saying he'll let it slide since it wasn't on purpose. Playing along, Bai Yi suggests they team up as a duo to find the exit to the forest. The MC dismissively warns his new partner to stay closos because he's not going to waste time playing bodyguard. Sneakily, the enemy pulls a sharp dagger behind the kid's back and whispers maliciously, telling the MC to go to hell. But Wei Dao senses the lethal backstab coming and spins around fast, making a warning noise. Suspicious of the sneaky move, the kid asks his rival what the point of that was. Without answering, Bai Yi lunges, using his Void Breaker attack to take out the Necromancer once and for all. Landing a clean hit on the kid's chest with the slash, the assassin celebrates that this kill will secure his spot as Holy Son. But Wei Dao just steps back, feeling the damage transfer, and asks if the rival is part of the dangerous 10,000 Races sect. Flashing a creepy, cocky smile, the fighter proudly confirms it and asks if the kid is terrified. Completely unharmed, the MC angrily figures out that the whole trap to kidnap the freshman was his group's doing. The opponent confirms the fog glitch in the ruins was a mystic setup planned by their boss. But suddenly Bai Yi steps back, stunned to see the kitten take a single point of damage, asking in disbelief how he's still alive. With Pepper and Little Chiang spawning right behind him, Wei Dao trolls him, asking if the enemy seriously thought he could kill him. Trying to defend himself with his glowing blades, the assassin acknowledges the kid's power, but warns that the real fight starts now. Yelling a battle cry, Bai Yi delivers a heavy sword strike to end the fight. A massive shield pops up, blocking the attack with a strong purple energy barrier. But the impact of Bai Yi's blade barely even scratches the Guardian's ruthless defense. Surprised by the fail, the assassin steps back, confused as to how his attack got blocked so easily. Then Pepper rushes in furiously at top speed, showing off its sharp teeth. The monster launches a lightning, fast charge right at the assassin. But Bai Yi gets ready, gathering his own power to counter the beast's charge. They crash violently in the middle of the arena, kicking up a ton of dust. Taking advantage of the opening, Peppa lands a brutal hit that launches the enemy straight into the air. Bai Yi's body hits the forest floor hard, letting out a groan of pain. Wei Dao raises his hand and coldly orders Ains to finish the opponent. Instantly, the skeleton mage charges a massive spirit fire orb high up. Desperate, Bai Yi tries to block with his sword, screaming that he won't lose here. Taking the massive explosion, the flames wipe out the entire clearing with zero mercy. The interface congratulates the kid for taking out the swordsman, dropping a massive amount of XP. Looking at the destruction, Wei Dao praises Ains's upgrade, noticing his power went way up. A new alert confirms the kid hit level 20 and got more stat points. The class ascension screen pops up, letting him rank up instantly. Clicking accept, the kid celebrates his second class promotion, hitting level 21. The interface reveals all his base stats doubled after the level up. He happily notices that all his elite summons got promoted too. Ready to check it out, the MC opens his menu to look at his skill upgrades. The UI explains he got the ability to trigger explosions on corpses he buries. Testing the new skill, the kid snaps his fingers, activating his magic in the forest. One of the buried bodies blows up, causing a massive explosion right in the middle of the clearing. The kid checks his iron shovel, which just unlocked a new special cultivation mode. Walking up to Bai Yi's body, he thanks him for the XP and wonders what's going to sprout from it. About 15 minutes pass while the kid finishes burying the body. A tiny plant with glowing golden fruit sprouts super fast from the enemy's grave. Suddenly, the golden fruit pops open, blasting a strong wave of magic light in the kid's face. The interface congratulates the kid, revealing he got an S-tier skill book. Without hesitating, Wei Dao grabs the magic relic and tells the interface to learn the skill. A glowing alert confirms he successfully mastered the new mythic summon. The MC pops a massive blue magic circle, summoning his new bone pawn. A sharp blue beam of light cuts through the area, signaling the new creature's arrival. An epic skeleton fighter spawns in, holding a glowing sword wrapped in energy. Admiring his new minion's sick design, the kid decides to name him Little Jian. But the piece is broken when a mystery shadow pops out, scanning the squad in the woods. Spotting a sudden threat approaching, the MC spins around to see who's there. A blast of purple energy cuts through the air, forcing the kid to dodge fast. To his shock, a monstrous spider with red eyes crawls out of the dark forest. Angry, the beast spits a stream of corrosive purple venom straight at the group. Stunned by the enemy's aggro, Wei Dao realizes this monster is super aggressive. Wasting no time, the kid points forward, ordering his squad to counterattack. Instantly, the skeleton mages step up, ready to blast the beast with flames. A barrage of colorful spells is fired at the monster to try and stop its push. But the creature fights back, shooting a wave of green energy, forcing the kid to take cover fast. Little Jian steps up to the front line, raising his saber to protect him. The skeleton swordsman pops a blue energy shield, tanking the hit. A massive clash of power shakes the entire clearing, kicking up a ton of dust. But the fearless fighter tanks the attack like a boss, taking 0 physical damage. When the dust clears, the shield drops, showing the pawn's defense was flawless. Wei Dao orders Peppa to launch a straight line charge right at the monster. The beast dashes at insane speed, wrapped in purple flames, tearing through the bushes. But the massive enemy reacts, shooting beams of acid light to block the push. Furious, the giant spider lunges, showing off its sharp claws and venomous fangs. Locked in, the MC uses his Analyze spell to check the enemy's power. The screen reveals it's a level 35 poison spider, tagged as a boss. Relentless, the beast fires an acid wave covering the entire combat zone. The kid yells at Peppa to dodge the hazard and avoid touching the acid at all costs. With insane reflexes, the skeleton beast jumps to the side, dodging the spider's acid attack. The kid points forward, ordering Ains to drop all his burst damage on it. Instantly, the red-robed minion charges 2 giant spirit fire orbs. With a fast dash, the skeleton mage unloads the combo attack right onto the boss. A massive explosion wrecks the poison spider, sending a huge pillar of fire into the air. In the distance, a group of students is totally panicking, surrounded by dozens of monsters. Trying to stay alive, the blonde mage spams his fire spells at the horde. But the giant bugs tank the hits easily and keep pushing forward non-stop. Desperate, the teammates yell at the leader to use an even stronger fire spell. Annoyed, he snaps back that he's completely out of mana after fighting so many enemies. The kids realize they're trapped and start fearing the worst. Suddenly, the sound of a massive explosion in the distance grabs the group's attention. Amazed, they point out the blast is way stronger than any of their fire spells. The group decides to run toward the noise, hoping to find some high-level players to carry them. While running, they spot the undead army dominating the battlefield from afar. Laughing at the mobs, Wei Dao roasts their weak attacks, claiming they could never beat him with such basic moves. Suddenly, a massive blast of green energy pops off in the middle of the battlefield. Surprised the monster survived, the MC scans it to figure out the energy spike. The UI shows the creature evolved into a powerful level 40 poison spider empress. Wei Dao is stunned by the sudden evolution and wonders how he's going to beat such a tanky boss. The kid takes a quick step back, getting ready to dip from the fight instantly. Jumping onto Peppa, the MC tells the beast to run as fast as possible away from the danger. Meanwhile, the group of students runs through the woods, hoping the strong player is just ahead. But they quickly spot the undead army fighting hard against the monsters right in the middle of the forest. The guys suddenly stop, terrified to see their path completely blocked by skeleton mobs. The group leader screams in panic, seeing dozens of undead blocking their way. But he quickly spots the MC and realizes it's actually a high-level necromancer. A new purple fire explosion wrecks the trees right next to where the students are standing. Running toward them, Wei Dao yells for everyone to get out of the way immediately, so they don't block his escape. As he speeds past them, the MC drops an urgent warning that dangerous giant bugs are right behind him. Annoyed by the yelling, a teammate grabs the leader by the back, telling him to stop being dramatic. He points out that having an OP necromancer here is perfect for holding off the terrible bug swarm. Just then, a chain of massive explosions starts tearing up the forest right behind the student group. Wei Dao's undead army keeps fighting fiercely against the monster horde in the middle of the desert. Watching the summon's insane power, the group leader admits the kid is an absolute prodigy. The last elite bug tries to hold on while the purple flames melt it in the sand. Wanting to end the fight fast, Wei Dao orders Peppa to crush the monster once and for all. Following the order, the skeleton boar launches a crazy fast, brutal charge at the downed enemy. With a heavy impact, Peppa hits the opponent, kicking up a massive cloud of dust and purple fire. Shocked by the raw power, the guys talk about how unbelievable the elite necromancer's strength is. Looking at the monster drops, the MC complains he doesn't have time to bury all these bodies. Seeing the kid walk up, the students run over excitedly, hyping up their savior. The group leader begs the MC to let them tag along, praising his insane combat skills. Feeling awkward about the request, Wei Dao scratches his head and honestly says he doesn't like having people follow him. Suddenly, a terrifying, high-pitched screech echoes through the woods, while toxic green energy starts spreading. Looking back nervously, Wei Dao realizes the monsters are closing in insanely fast. Right after, the giant spider empress bursts through the branches, leaking her toxic green fog. Terrified by the boss's massive size, the students freeze, not knowing how to react. Seeing the group freeze, the MC yells angrily, telling everyone to stop staring and run right now. The group scrambles in total panic while the terrible monster crushes trees, chasing them. To make sure they escape, Wei Dao focuses his dark energy in the palm of his hand. The kid summons his undead squad and orders them to fight the empress to slow her down. The skeleton soldiers hold the front line, completely blocking the giant monster's path. But the creature unleashes a devastating poison breath that melts the bone shields in seconds. Desperate, seeing his protectors get vaporized, the group leader runs screaming, begging the MC to save him. Wasting no time, Wei Dao casts his summon spell, channeling strong magic all around him. He summons boar mounts and tells the students to get on quickly, so they can escape faster. Relieved by the clutch save, the guy is super thankful, literally crying about getting rescued mid-fight. The MC speeds up his own mount, saying he'll take the lead, and tells the others to survive however they can. 3 hours later, silence finally returns to the dense forest under the soft sunset light. Sitting under a giant tree, Wei Dao breathes a sigh of relief, realizing he finally lost the monster. Wearing beat-up clothes, the kid complains about being exhausted and starving after running all night to stay alive. He opens his storage bag and pulls out a small stash of snacks. Tearing open the green cracker wrapper, the guy asks himself, annoyed, when this dangerous path is finally going to end. In a hurry, the MC takes a bite of the crunchy cracker, trying to get his energy back. Suddenly, a fresh peach drops on the ground right in front of him, confusing the kid. Curious about the random drop, the guy looks up to see where the fruit came from. The interface reveals a tiny level 35 golden silk monkey demon. Jaw dropped at his bad luck, Wei Dao complains about running into yet another tier 3 elite mob in the ruins. The little animal does a quick jump on the branch and throws another peach right at the MC's head. Taking a direct hit to the forehead from the heavy fruit, the kid yells in pain, complaining about the little mob's aim. The monkey starts making high-pitched noises and points directly at the guy in the clearing. The animal keeps making exaggerated hand gestures, clearly showing that it's super hungry. Looking at the fruit in his hands, Wei Dao figures out the mob just wants to trade a peach for a cracker. So, the kid tosses one of his crackers up into the tree to keep the little creature happy. Catching the plastic wrapper smoothly, the monkey looks super happy about getting the snack. Super hyped, the little animal jumps for joy, celebrating the successful food trade in the trees. It eagerly tears open the plastic wrapper and starts munching on the crunchy cracker. The monkey closes its eyes, enjoying the food, blushing with pure satisfaction in the forest. Swinging happily from branch to branch, the little creature celebrates the tasty snack it just scored. Eating his own juicy peach, Wei Dao smiles, realizing the animal really just wanted a fair trade. The kid keeps eating the sweet fruit slowly, enjoying the short break in the forest. Finishing the quick meal, only the crumbs and empty wrapper are left on the green grass. Standing up determined, the MC announces breakfast is over and it's time to get back to hunting in the ruins. Suddenly, the little monkey drops down upside down right in front of his face. Jump, scaring the kid instantly. Hanging by its tail from the branch, the animal opens its hand, offering a glowing item to the MC. Looking at it suspiciously, the kid is curious to see it's a magic seed. Without hesitating, Wei Dao pops his magic analyze spell to check out the glowing item's stats. The interface reveals it's an S-tier immortal peach seed, capable of growing legendary mystic trees. Absolutely mind blown by the crazy reveal, the kid yells in shock, confirming how insanely rare the gift is. Carefully holding the glowing S-tier seed, Wei Dao wonders where this demon monkey even came from to find such god-tier loot in the ruins. Inspecting the seed closely, he is stunned, realizing he just got insanely lucky pulling a priceless treasure for free. The little golden silk monkey celebrates, jumping and flexing with joy in front of its new partner in the clearing. Wei Dao crouches down and explains to the animal that he's all out of crackers, offering to pay the rest later. But the monkey gets tilted by the kid's excuse and lets out a loud, angry roar, forcing the MC to beg it to chill and promise he's not dodging the bill. The animal charges at Wei Dao at insane speed, giving him zero time to block. Unable to dodge, the kid takes a fast, brutal hit right to the chest. From the impact, the MC gets launched backward, landing flat on his back on the forest floor, complaining about the animal's strength. He pops his skill and summons Little Giant to protect him, making the skeleton fighter spawn instantly with an intimidating roar. The skeleton swordsman takes a fast swing, but the agile monkey jumps high into the air, dodging the attack without a scratch. Recovering from the fall, Wei Dao stands up, dusts himself off, and admits the little beast has seriously impressive physical stats. Standing next to his minion, he offers to write an IOU to guarantee he'll get the promised crackers. But the animal turns its back and crosses its arms suspiciously, making the kid wonder if it's scared of getting scammed. Thinking about it, the MC figures the mobs in these ancient ruins actually aren't easy to finesse in a trade. Suddenly, Wei Dao gets a big brain idea and decides to switch tactics to win the animal over once and for all. Trying to get the little guy's attention, he asks if it has ever tasted famous human food. Hyping it up, he lists dishes like stuffed pork, steamed duck, and seafood stew, getting the monkey super interested. Wei Dao holds out his hand and offers a deal, promising to take his new partner out of this isolated zone if he accepts the terms. He invites the little animal to come to the outside world to eat massive feasts, while his other summons watch eagerly in the background. Imagining the plates of delicious food, the monkey starts drooling, unable to resist the hype. Making up its mind, the little beast shakes the kid's hand, happily accepting the invite. Wei Dao crouches down, warning he's going to start the master-servant pact ritual right now. The MC drips a bit of his own blood onto the little animal's hand to seal the mystic contract. With the ritual active, a massive red magic circle glows brightly on the forest floor. The interface congratulates the kid on successfully binding the golden silk monkey, while a light covers the clearing. Checking the menu, the kid sees his new level 35 pawn has 3 OPA tier skills, but the kid tells the interface to close the stats when he reads the requirement to feed the animal expensive, premium meat dishes. To Wei Dao's shock, the monkey actually starts talking, demanding the promised meat, showing it gained the ability to speak. The kid begs it to stop demanding stuff, promising he'll buy top-tier food as soon as they get out of there. Asking if the beast has a name, the MC decides to name him Great Sage, to give him an epic, boss-level title. The monkey happily accepts the new name, thinking the title, Great Sage, matches his epic vibe perfectly. Getting onto his elite mount, Wei Dao tells everyone to follow him so they can track down his old squad in the forest. With the Great Sage on his shoulder, the MC warns that there are a lot of mobs nearby and promises to lead the group to them. Hours later, the path of destruction reveals the bodies of several giant scorpions wiped out on the rocky valley floor. A system alert congratulates the kid on hitting level 29 after clearing all the mobs in the zone. Suddenly, the little monkey warns that it senses the spiritual presence of a bunch of human fighters grouped up ahead. Hearing that, the MC tells his beast to sprint at top speed in that direction so they can check it out. In the distance, a massive group of students from different academies is grouped up in the middle of a rocky canyon. Looking down from the cliff, the kid is impressed by the huge number of players who managed to survive this long. Peppa walks into the camp, and the students talk in awe about the epic vibe of the kid leading the squad. The kids point at the monkey on his shoulder, amazed by the crazy drip of that OP elite Necromancer. Jumping off his mount, Wei Dao runs over to the group and immediately asks what the heck is going on in this valley. The blue-haired student explains that someone finally found the exact coordinates of the ruins core matrix. Hearing the intel, the MC asks if destroying the core will unlock the exit for everyone. But the red-haired kid shakes his head nervously, admitting the quest isn't going to be as easy as it sounds. The student reveals the boss guarding the core matrix is a terrifying, insanely high-level insect sovereign. He keeps explaining that tens of thousands of players from different countries teamed up to try and take down the massive threat yesterday. The fighters took crazy heavy losses in that brutal raid and totally failed to destroy the core. Worried about the low number of survivors in the clearing, Wei Dao wonders to himself if most of the players actually got wiped in the fight, but the blue-haired teammate says no, explaining the other squads just split up to guard different escape routes. The blonde kid tells the group to just wait for backup from the other nations instead of doing anything dumb in tomorrow's raid. Laughing, the MC casually agrees with the advice and asks if anyone has any snacks left. Pulling a small pack of spicy strips from his pocket, the blonde kid says he only has a few left. Offering a juicy peach in exchange, Wei Dao suggests a fair trade to feed his starving monkey. The MC hands the spicy strips to the Great Sage, hyping it up as an absolute human masterpiece. Super curious, the little monkey takes its first bite of the weird food while everyone watches closely. Wrapped in a cloud of pure bliss, the animal jumps for joy, celebrating the spicy, god-tier taste of human food. Finding the beast's reaction hilarious, the other students joke that the kid's pet has crazy good charisma. A few hours later, the full moon shines brightly in the dark sky, signaling the start of a freezing night in the valley. Chilling comfortably on the grass, Wei Dao looks at the starry sky, hoping all his university classmates are safe. Lying in the grass, the MC notices a crazy change in the sky and is shocked to see a blood moon spawn out of nowhere. With the red light hitting the forest, heavy wind starts blowing the dry leaves, making the vibe at the camp super tense. Suddenly, an injured explorer runs frantically out of the woods, screaming a warning that the bug swarm is attacking. With zero reaction time, a giant centipede bursts from the shadows, launching a lethal attack at the poor kid trying to run. Terrified by the screams, the students in the camp go on high alert, realizing the enemy horde is already pushing in. With the impact of the first heavy charges, massive explosions of dirt and dust completely wreck the valley's resting area. A terrifying number of giant centipedes start rushing down the rocky slopes, quickly boxing in all the survivors. Panicking completely, the red-haired kid screams for all his teammates to start running right now. On top of the rocks, one of the giant monsters lets out a terrifying roar, pulling even more swarm aggro to the clearing. Seeing a teammate take a heavy hit from the beast, the kids scream their friend's name in total despair right in the middle of the chaos. Riding his beast, Wei Dao dashes past the frozen students, yelling at everyone to stop throwing and start running. But the massive bug swarm keeps pushing down the hill at insane speed, shredding everything in their path. A colossal monster with razor-sharp claws roars furiously, getting ready to crush the survivors trying to escape. Hidden in the red night shadows, a giant beast's glowing eye locks directly onto the targets running through the grass. With terrifying claws snapping right over his head, the blue-haired kid freezes in panic facing the lethal threat. Popping his Analyze spell, Wei Dao seriously checks the stats of the giant monster rushing them at top speed in the desert. The panel shows it's a level 40 armored insect boss, with its stats totally maxed into pure strength and HP. With a deafening roar, the beast starts its push while the MC charges forward on his elite skeleton boar. Wei Dao orders his elite fighter Little Jean to attack and wipe out the bug once and for all. Instantly, a sharp blue energy wave is blasted at the elite monster trying to block. With crazy skill, the skeleton swordsman uses his lightning slash, pushing right into the enemy's armor. A massive impact happens as the blade hits the bug's armor, cracking its shell with extreme force. Taking advantage of the opening, Wei Dao gets hyped next to his monkey and readies his fire spell to attack. A chain of destructive purple explosions hits the weakened armored insect dead on. A massive blast wipes the whole combat zone, turning the giant boss into pieces on the sand. Without wasting time, the kid runs up with his shovel to grab the drops and bury the defeated enemy. Under a pile of debris, he stands by the fresh grave, waiting for that sweet underworld loot. A beam of golden light flashes brightly, showing the grave. Digging gave the kid some epic buffs. Grouping up his elite squad, Wei Dao orders his minions to hunt down more armored bugs in the desert. In the distance, other students are taking heavy damage from the elite monsters' sneak attacks and screaming for help. A girl lying in the grass begs for help while a fearless fighter bombs from the sky holding two hammers. With a wild roar, the fighter smashes the giant insect, crushing it into the ground with a heavy hit. The furious Lu Tiju calms down the terrified girl, who is super thankful for the clutch save at the last second.